ICENET. Dynasties live here.
Nassau Coliseum. The New York Islanders had won their first Stanley Cup in a short 8-year history, and their feat had been an unprecedented one, coming from 5th place in the regular season standings to win the NHL championship. Now, what a difference a year makes. The Islanders are said to have built a dynasty with size and speed and depth and experience with Bossy, Trottier, and Potvin. There's only one team now that can keep the Islanders from their second straight Stanley Cup, and that is Minnesota. And the North Stars' task will be even tougher than the Islanders was last year, as Minnesota tries to come from a 9th place regular season finish. And who are the Minnesota North Stars? Well, they are Joe Meloche and Bobby Smith, but most of all, the North Stars are rookies who have captured the imagination of the hockey world.
Rotten. Dropping it to Cicerelli. Cicerelli shoots high off the glass. Now back to Roberts, a shot. Riggin the save, they score! Cicerelli on the rebound. And the record-setting rookie adds to his record. Oh, Reinhardt on the Calgary power play. Reinhardt, who moves the puck extremely well, gives it to Radicalio to Sweenard, but broken up and cleared away by Anderson. And here's Palmer. One man back. Palmer shoots. He scores!
So it's a wealth of experience represented by the New York Islanders against the exuberance of youth, the Minnesota North Stars. We have reached the Stanley Cup Final. Welcome to the 1981 Stanley Cup Final as the New York Islanders host the Minnesota North Stars at the Nassau Coliseum on Long Island. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Hodge. Hello to a coast-to-coast Hockey Night in Canada audience and to our viewers on the USA Network. The Islanders, bidding for a second straight cup, have won 11 of 13 playoff games so far. They've swept 2 of their 3 opponents. The North Stars have won 6 of 8 games on the road, and they have opened each of their 3 previous series with a victory away from home. They would like to do the same thing tonight. With more on how these teams reached this Stanley Cup Final, let's go now to Gary Dornhofer with Don Cherry.
Coach Glenn Sonmore of the Minnesota North Stars says his team has to skate as hard as they can in order to be successful, but perhaps the North Stars got a little help along the way to be here.
Well, I'll tell you, I saw that first game with Calgary, and Calgary was a little tired, and I'll tell you why. They kept telling themselves they were tired, but they went through a very tough series with Philadelphia, and I know because when I was with Boston, we did the same thing, and then we went against Montreal, and we were wore out. If you beat Philadelphia, you pay for it. Now, taking nothing against Minnesota, they played a super series. Glenn Sonmore got them going. They were super, but I think that they caught Calgary in a little tired situation.
Okay, thank you, Don. And for some more pregame thoughts, here is Bob Cole and Mickey Redmond.
And let me tell you, the North Stars are coming in here against a most complete hockey team, the defending Stanley Cup champions, New York Islanders.
Well, Bob, the Islanders have had a relatively easy time getting here, beating the Leafs in 3 and Edmonton in 6 and the Rangers in 4. But they've had a week off. They've got a few injuries repaired. They've had a couple of days right off from the rink in that little bit of time, and they're ready to go.
Here again is Dave Hodge.
And we're ready to go along with the New York Islanders and the Minnesota North Stars. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage in the final will return in just a moment.
The Minnesota North Stars, they're young and they're eager. The New York Islanders, they're quietly confident. The two meet tonight in Game 1 as the last lap of the Stanley Cup playoffs starts right here in the Nassau Coliseum in New York. The crowd going wild already. Gary Dornhofer with Mickey Redmond, and I'm Bob Cole. This is something, Gary.
This is what it's all about, Bob. A lot of enthusiasm by the crowd, and you know that that will certainly rub off on both teams.
Going along with Mr. Joe George in the singing of our national anthem.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, Joe Dewar and the American National Anthem.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rang clear, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good evening, everyone. Nice to have you with us. There are the officials. Andy Van Hellemond, John D'Amico, and Ron Finn. Van Hellemond, of course, the referee.
Well, last year, Gilles Malot said his biggest thrill was playing the 7th game in the Montreal Forum. Perhaps this year he will have an even more memorable experience.
And at the other end, Gary, Billy Smith from Perth, Ontario. Not a big guy, 5'10", 185 pounds. Likes to go down a lot. Lou Lanny hopes his guys can get in, pick up some rebounds, and beat Billy on those second shots.
Okay, Mickey and Gary, Bobby Smith comes to center ice for Minnesota. Wayne Merrick for the New York Islanders. That's Hartsburg with Maxwell on the Minnesota defense. They clear it. It goes down to the New York zone. Morrow played it on the boards into the center ice area. It's down the ice. You're watching Merrick, Tonelli, and Nystrom. Probably the best forechecking unit in the National Hockey League, and they're at it right away. Merrick taking his man in on the boards, but Minnesota, they can clear it too. McAdam is knocked down, and it goes to Payne on the far side. He was bumped on the boards. Nystrom comes all the way back. The Islanders trying to regroup, and here's Tonelli. He's up over the line. Tonelli gets set, can't get the first shot away. We haven't had a shot on goal yet. Maybe this will be it. It's just wide of the net, and back of the goal is Paul icing called against Minnesota.
Al Arbour, his team has not played in a week. The team has had a couple of days off, but worked hard during these other days. He said, we are confident, not overconfident. We know that we are facing a very difficult Minnesota North Stars hockey club.
Look at Glenn Sonmar behind the North Star bench, and boy, Gary, he never shuts up, does he? He's talking all the time. He calls the Minnesota players behind the bench by their first and last name. Very unusual for coaches. Usually they just call the centerman's name and the line to go, but Glenn Sonmar very much in the hockey game all the time.
Fellows, you got to watch Trottier, Bourne, and Bossy. Now this is the big line as Lane trying to shoot it from the blue line. It didn't work, and Bourne was back to break it up. Bourne being watched by Broughton. The pass comes over here. Islanders shoot it in. They'll be called for icing now as Gordy Roberts is back to pick it up. And Gary, they seem to be just feeling each other out in the first minute and 3 seconds. Nobody has really had any chances yet.
Well, a couple of line matchups. When you look at Brian Trottier, you better be very aware of him out there, along with Bossy and Bourne. And right now they're going with Broughton, the youngster, Kristoff, and Palmer. 3 rookies. What a job they have to contain that high-scoring unit.
Palmer, 19. Broughton, 21. Kristoff, 23. How about that for confidence by Glenn Sonmar? Now the Islanders break away. This is the big man, Trottier, coming to center. Rolled it over the Minnesota line. The Stars come back and regroup. We have no score. 1 minute and 20 seconds gone in the first period. First game of the Stanley Cup final. Lane dropped it back in his own zone. Islanders start away again. Pass knocked down by Trottier at center. He was checked by young Palmer. It goes in across the line. It's called on the offside.
Now we see Steve Kristoff, former U.S. Olympic star. Remember last year he set the rookie mark for goals, but that has been broken this year by Dino Ciccarelli. 29 goals by the rookies of the 68 that the North Stars have scored, so they play a big role in their attack.
Bobby Smith is 15. He's the big gun for Minnesota. And this time Bobby Smith is trapped along the boards. They were offside, and it's called for a face-off at the New York Islanders line.
I guess, Mickey, when we broke in, rookies were supposed to be seen and not heard. That isn't the case with rookies nowadays.
Not anymore. You saw us just early in that Calgary series. Boy, what a battle he was having with Regan in the Calgary goal. But very cocky, the youngsters today.
Here's Nystrom coming in. Nystrom rolled it in front of the net. It hit a skate. The Islanders trying to pick it up, but let me tell you, the North Stars are ready for them inside their own blue line, and they're beginning to hit already. They've hit the 2-minute mark of the first period. There is no score. Islanders have to go back. Morrow takes it in behind the net. Morrow jams the brakes on, eludes a check, rolled it on the right side. It comes to Nystrom. Nystrom just onside, shoots it in. Off the boards, and it's grabbed by Greg Smith of Minnesota. He tried to move it out. 3 Islanders over there. There's Nystrom for checking. Nystrom in front, turned at it, scramble, went up over the crossbar. Sutter had a chance, point-blank range. He went flying then. Play goes right on. There's Sutter looking for it inside the blue line. He had been upended. The crowd looking for a penalty. We haven't had one yet. And it's icing called against Minnesota from Long Island. This is Stanley Cup 81. They played 2 minutes and 43 seconds of the first period. No score. They drop it in, not squarely. They'll do it again. We see Goring for the first time. He's number 91 with Gillies at Keller on the right side. For New York, McCarthy, number 11 at center ice for Minnesota against Goring. And he'll have a handful with a pesky Goring. He's having a sensational playoff so far. There he is. That's Goring from the corner back to the line. Langevin gets ready. There's a drive. They score! Tipped in on the edge of the crease was Keller. 1-0 New York.
It's always a good play when you can get that shot through from the point. Keller will be the goal scorer, but the job that was done in front by number 9, Clark Gillies, you'll see it coming up, and Keller just moves to the edge of the net and just allows that
right there,
deflection.
Unbelievable. If that's the way the breaks are going to go, Minnesota could have been in a lot of trouble, but a good example, not covering those point men.
Here's Goring on a breakaway now. Hit the goal post. It comes back to the line, and McCarthy cleared it. Goring went in flying and put it off the goal post. Wow.
Well, let's got him fired up in this building, Gary. They gave him about a 3-minute standing ovation when they come out of the room. Look at that little guy. Is he fired up?
Now, Butch Goring broke down that left side and had not much of an angle, really, to shoot at. Fired that slap shot to the far side of Gilles Melange right off the post.
You notice on the goal by the Islanders how much time the point man had to shoot the puck. Minnesota got caught very deep in their own zone, not covering the point.
Now Dennis Potvin shoots one in. That's wide of the net. Gordy Roberts was bumped back there. The Islanders trying to keep it in. McAdam lost it near center. There's Tonelli. He tried to hit Nystrom, and Nystrom was offside. The scoring play. Keller from Langevin and Goring at 2:54. It's 1-0 Islanders.
Another youngster, Steve Payne, but he's played a couple of years in the National Hockey League. Attended Carleton University in Ottawa. And right now it looks like the North Stars are a little jittery. They're not skating as smoothly as they did in the last series.
Merrick got the draw, but quickly Giles comes back for Minnesota. Smith out of the net. He flipped it into the corner. Nystrom couldn't clear it. Morrow went after it. Merrick along the boards on this side. Tonelli lost it. Giles took a shot. It's knocked down in front of Adams' drive. That's off the stick. And it went up over the glass into the crowd. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Long Island. I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond at the Coliseum in New York. Right here on Long Island, the home of the Stanley Cup champions, the New York Islanders, and the Islanders with first blood leading 1-0. Coming out of the zone, Trottier got the pass near center, bodied right away. Morrow carried on with Merrick. He lost control of it, couldn't set up Nystrom. Minnesota now circling. That's Payne. He's coming out. The pass to Bobby Smith. He circles back again. Smith dropped it. Bad play. It's cleared in by Tonelli, rather, and they moved it back out to center. Here's Potvin. Over for Tonelli, and Merrick is offside. That one was very close.
Well, there's the general behind the blue line, Dennis Potvin, always an all-star, and the Islanders really depend upon him. And Glenn Sonmore felt that the Islanders can be had in their own zone. They don't handle the puck that well, except Potvin.
You know, Potvin, of course, defenseman, but defensive defenseman, averaged 23 goals a year in his National Hockey League career. That's a heck of a record for a defenseman.
Broughton, Palmer, and Christoph against Trottier, Bourne, and Bossy. Lane trying to shoot it in. It didn't work. He comes back. Circles near his own line. Lane's pass went by everyone into the zone. Here comes Bossy. Centered it. Just missed the man. Now Trottier in front, and he couldn't shoot it. Back on the right side, Christoph coming in for Minnesota. And there's a grab by Billy Smith. It might have been off the net, but the goaltender gloved it anyway.
Well, that was the first real good burst of speed by the North Stars, and Coach Al Auerbach had said that their strength is skating. We have to get in front of them. We have to bump the North Stars at every opportunity. If we do that, if we're willing to do that, I think we can repeat.
The Islanders look awfully sharp here. A lot of people figured they would be a bit slow in the first period coming off that weak layoff. But, boy, they've got the legs going, and they're forechecking the North Stars and bumping them as well.
There's a drive. That was blocked in front of the net. Kept in by Barrett. Broughton over on the other side. Long shot deflected right in front of the net. And Billy Smith comes up with a very first big save. And he gets a standing ovation from the over 15,000 here in the Coliseum.
Well, one thing we know about Billy Smith, he doesn't like anybody standing in front of him. And the North Stars don't generally get somebody in front of the net. But you saw Christoph fighting his way, did get a piece of it, but Smith, a good save.
That's right, Gary. He did get a piece of that shot from the point. Billy Smith made the original save. It popped up in the air, and he hauled it down before it went over the line.
Pass goes back into the corner. Lane, he was bumped back of the net. Lorimer trying to bring it out. They're in forechecking now, these young North Stars. But the Islanders get away. On this wing is Bourne coming in. Couldn't get the shot away properly. It bumps back in the crease. Trottier came close. There's Bossy in front, knocking it down with a glove. Comes over in the corner, and of course, that's called. It was gloved by Bossy. Over to Trottier. Good call by the linesman, Ron Finn.
I know about 15,000 people who don't think it was a good call right now in this building.
Well, the officials, they do a pretty good job. Andy Van Helmen handled the last game with Calgary, Minnesota. A good job, but a weird bounce there by in front of, or behind the net of the North Stars. Meloche had a little trouble with it, but was able to hang on. And then the glove pass, which was called down, face-off outside the blue line.
Nearing the 6-minute mark of the opening period, 1-0, the New York Islanders. Now it's Cicerelli trying to blast one by Potvin. Couldn't do that. Potvin solid on the defense for New York. He's the leader. Now here's Nystrom. He was bumped and knocked flying just inside the blue line by Maxwell. Coming out. Maxwell lugged it across the line, hitting center. Decides to shoot it in. Smith goes in back to the net. That's Morrow with it. Played it up to Nystrom. A pass hitting the line, and here come the Islanders. Sutter coming in. Sutter's pass outside the line, and they have to come back for it. Carroll just couldn't carry on. Here's Nystrom again. Nystrom gets set. Make the pass. Shot it right in front. Another scramble. And it's cleared by Meloche over in the corner. Cicerelli's pass to Bobby Smith didn't work. 1-0 New York. And they're showing signs of getting stronger as the minutes go by in this opening period. They're lining up and coming out. 3 of them across the ice, and it's Gillies going in. Gillies took a weak shot. That's wide of Gilles Meloche. Here's Gillies bumping his man off the puck. Anderson couldn't clear it. Coming in front is Keller. He's the goal scorer for New York. There's a penalty coming up now. First penalty of the hockey game. Here it comes. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Long Island. Minnesota, Maxwell, high sticking.
Well, when called upon, the North Stars can also throw their weight around, but that time Maxwell on the high stick, and we'll get a chance to see the Islander power play, who have already set a National League record with 26 power play goals in the playoffs.
They have Trottier, Bossy, Bourne, McEwen, and Potvin, of course. He's the key man on this power play. Comes over on the other side. McEwen slides a pass in front of the net. Trottier was tied up. Bourne couldn't shoot it. Comes to McEwen again. Broken up at the blue line and cleared by Broughton down the ice. He's on there with Ken-Eric Anderson. Penalty killers up front for the North Stars. 1-0. New York Islanders leading. Keller's goal. And now doesn't work this power play so far. Anderson coming in. They're short-handed, remember. Hooked off the puck back of the net. Now the Islanders regroup. Dennis Potvin will lug it to center. Here he is. Dropped it right there. He was checked and had to move it quickly. They get it across the line. They're offside, but so far, that Minnesota penalty-killing duo up front have been great.
Well, both these hockey clubs, Minnesota and the Islanders, have both scored 7 shorthanded goals so far in the playoffs. They did a tremendous job, Bob and Gary, against Calgary, scoring in one game 2 shorthanded goals and 1 penalty.
The North Stars have not won a game against the Islanders this year. They managed 2 ties. Both were right here in Uniondale. Lost both games at Minnesota.
McCarthy is on there now. He's number 11 in port checking with Palmer, the other penalty killer up front for Minnesota. 1-0 New York. The Islanders with a man advantage, and Dennis Potvin's pass to Bossy. Here's Bossy across the line, lost it right there. McEwen carries on, slides a pass back of the net. It goes. McEwen again, looking around, gets it over through the crease. Palmer couldn't pick it up. Gillies hammered one off the boards back of the net. Barrett cleared it. It's down the ice. Here comes Palmer racing after it. Took the drive, and he can really shoot him. Billy Smith standing up on the short side and back for New York. 30 seconds left of the penalty. Potvin took the drive, and that's blocked by Milosh. Threw it back to the net. Greg Smith couldn't clear it out. Now it's dumped to center ice, and Potvin goes back with 15 seconds left of the penalty. Tonelli will try it now. He was bumped and taken out of the play, and Minnesota doing a great job.
Good play by Barrett, standing up at that blue line. That is certainly the strategy for the North Stars. Stand up, force the Islanders to shoot it in.
This is Lane. Dropped it across the line. The penalty is over now. Minnesota killed that penalty. They're at full strength again, but they're trailing in the hockey game. 1-0. Keller has got the goal for the New York Islanders. Here's Tonelli. He missed a chance to cradle it and get a shot away. Couldn't hang on to it. The pass was too swift, crisp. Minnesota clearing it to the line. It's not out. Tonelli in front of the net. Keller again dropped it back to Goring. One too many passes, maybe. Back for Minnesota. McAdam trying to catch up to it. He's in the corner. Here's Payne. Land on a shot. Back to the net goes McAdam. He's in there against Lane. It comes in front of the net. And Tonelli gets a pass away. 1-on-1 now. Keller has another opportunity. Tonelli catching up. Gets set. Shooting. And that's stopped by Milosh. Drop back to the net. Roberts cleared it up on the left wing. Took a check as he did. Stars carry on, though. That's Bobby Smith, and he can move it. Let me tell you, folks. There's Bobby Smith centering it. And Merrick is there, but he can't clear it. There's a quick shot knocked down by Billy Smith. Rebound. There's a penalty coming up. No. High stick. Hit the puck. And they call it for a faceoff. With a score. New York 1. North Stars 0. This is Stanley Cup 81. Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer and Mickey Redmond at the Nassau Coliseum, Long Island, New York, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. 9:59 left in this opening period. 1-0 is the score of the Islanders on Keller's goal. A tip, and he was standing right to the side of the net. From the blue line shot, he made good contact. Knocked it home. Now it's Gillies setting it up. Here's McEwen breaking in, shooting. That's knocked away. And I'll tell you, Gary and Mickey, it's tough inside that blue line. The Islanders just keep coming.
Well, the Islanders are staying right inside that blue line. They've intercepted 2 or 3 passes. We look at Bob Nystrom, last year the hero. That's sudden death overtime goal against the Flyers has a habit of coming up really big in the playoffs. This year is no exception. Mick, you look at that ice. It seems after the 10-minute mark, the ice gets very snowy, a lot of bouncing pucks. I guess when you get into a situation like that, you have to shoot when the opportunity is there. Keller, perfect spot. He decided to pass.
Well, you got to make sure. I'll tell you, he was in all alone. He tried to dump it back to Goring, and he missed it. But I'll tell you, you have to make really sure, especially in your own zone on those passes. Like Minnesota's having problems right now.
There's a pass back to the blue line. Bourne just barely kept it in. That's all he could do. Christoph moving up, trying to pick it up. No such luck. Langevin had cleared it. Now McEwen gets away at center. Or does he? He was bumped. Christoph fell on the play. Trottier centered it. Bourne tried to knock it through the crease. Over in the corner. That's Trottier along the boards. Bourne in the corner. Bourne to Bassi. He was covered well. Couldn't get his shot away. Minnesota trying to move it out, but I'll tell you, the Islanders keep coming, and they're forechecking tenaciously. Penalty coming up. This will be against New York Islanders. Minnesota with a goaltender out, the extra man on. If they can hang on to the puck, they cannot. Bourne has it, and a penalty coming up. Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment. Bob Bourne gets a major penalty for spearing. That's 5 minutes.
Boy, watch Bourne. Watch right there. Boy, he really jammed a stick into the stomach of Maxwell. Very uncharacteristic, like of Bob Bourne, Gary, to do something like that right in front of Van Hellemond.
Yeah, he doesn't play like that at all. He doesn't have to with his speed. But the first big break of the hockey game for the North Stars, if they can capitalize, they can run off as many goals as they want, because Bob Bourne has to serve the full 5 minutes.
I'll tell you, that may not be the end of that confrontation before this series is over.
Hey, listen, there are 8 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in this period. And Gary, as you say, a major penalty, and they can get 4 or 5.
Hartsburg plays a big role now with his puck handling ability coming out of his own zone.
That's Hartsburg passing it off to Bobby Smith. Islanders now have a tough chore. They got to try to hang on. Major penalty against Bourne for spearing. 1-0 is the score. The Islanders leading. Now Minnesota with a man advantage. They seem to be very relaxed about it, feeling maybe they have lots of time, but that don't work, baby. Here's Morrow coming in, took his shot, and that's stopped by Malash. Maxwell comes right back to center, dropped it over along that red line. It's cleared in. Roberts left it for Smith. On the boards, Trottier all over him. I don't know, Gary. The Islanders just stay on top of Minnesota. They seem to be too relaxed.
Well, they're outworking them right now, and the North Stars are very tentative in their attack.
That's Broughton. He nearly lost it. Whoa, that was close. Keller just missed it, and he had Trottier with him. Now they get organized to center. Broughton coming in. Yes, Cicerelli. Cicerelli up the blue line. He falls against Trottier, but here's Broughton. He left it right there. There's a high shot by Roberts. Way off the mark, and it's cleared back down the ice. Malash has to come out. 3:25 left of the major penalty to Bourne. Cicerelli again. Put one in off the leg. Trottier ran into Cicerelli. Getting tough out there now. Trottier lost it at center ice. Coming back in, Broughton, look out. Dennis Potvin bumped that little fellow, but look at him. He's spunky. Carries on, dropped it across the line, and it's cleared on the boards by Carroll, but not out. Minnesota in control. Broughton back to Giles. Giles left him right there. Back to Broughton again. Now Giles, he didn't shoot it. Back to Broughton. Maybe a shot. A weak one. That's why. Cicerelli bumped by Lorimer. It's rough back there now. Played back to the line. Giles again. Rolled it in on the left side. Right to the goal mouth. Down goes Billy Smith. And he hangs on to it. Boy, Mickey, she's getting tough back there.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the first shot that Minnesota has had on the Islander goal in this power play. But Gary Cicerelli came down the ice and
he really
directly looked right at Trottier and fired the puck at him, and Trottier chased him over to the side. Well, I tell you, the fevers are a bit high already in this hockey game.
Well, the Islanders are doing a great job of standing up at that blue line. They're forcing the North Stars to shoot it in. They're reluctant to shoot in, trying to carry it in. But let's have a look at Billy Smith and the action in front of the net. Lorimer doing a good job clearing that front. Look at the way he moves back and forth, trying to follow that black disc.
Islanders clear it away again with 2:30 left in the major penalty. So far, no harm done. Maxwell falls in the corner, gets back up to make a play to Hartsburg. Up it goes on the left side, and Payne, Smith, and McAdam come in for Minnesota. That's McAdam. He's bumped back there by Lane. And again, the Islanders, Keller swinging out of the zone. Hitting the line to center, killing some more seconds. Decides to pass it back. Lane nearly missed it. Had a second chance. Took his man out. Bobby Smith went in looking for it. Gordon over around the net. Morrow knocked it away. And a minute and 50 seconds left in the major penalty. Unbelievable job of penalty killing done by the New York Islanders now. It's 1-0 New York, and look at them. They're hanging on. This is Hartsburg. At center, he is stopped by Carroll. Maybe he gets a chance. Carroll coming in. Set it up. They score. Beautiful play by Carroll to Trottier. 2-0 New York.
Now there's a National Hockey League record. 8 shorthanded goals by Carroll. What a play he makes. Nobody picks up Trottier, and somebody should have had him because he was alone from the blue line coming in.
This whole 3.5 minutes of this power. Look at the fake by Carroll. Great fake. Puts Hartsburg down and fires it in front to Trottier, who's got Malanish at his mercy. But the North Stars, for the first 3.5 minutes of this power play, have just been standing around. They haven't been forcing the Islanders. As a result, bingo, you got a goal, a shorthanded.
We talk about the youngsters, that inexperience perhaps it's showing right now.
For number 19, Brian Trottier. The assist to number 25, Billy Carroll. The time of the goal, 14:38.
14:38, the time of the goal. Giles takes a shot. Knocked away by Billy Smith. Into the corner. 2-0 now, New York. And the Islanders shoot it away. Bourne has now 1 minute left in his penalty. There's going to be a standing ovation if Minnesota fails to score, and Bourne steps back on. Look at Keller coming in now, putting on the brakes. Trottier again. He was stopped this time by Roberts back of the net. Another chance. They score! Can't believe it. 3-0 the New York Islanders. Trottier passed it in front. The place goes wild here on Long Island.
That was a good play that Bobby Bourne made, getting that 5-minute major. Keller right off the goalpost again, left uncovered.
You see Trottier go back with 2 Minnesota players. Roberts and Broughton, the puck stays right there. Neither one plays the body. Trottier, bingo, right in front off the goalpost. Look out, the gates are open.
You can't skate by a Brian Trottier and not pay for it, but you have to take him against the boards right out of the play. So Anders Keller has his second goal of the night.
Well, Minnesota still with only 1 shot on this power play with only 47 seconds out of 5 minutes left. The man advantage.
Keller, his second of the game, 4th of the playoffs from Trottier, shorthanded at 15:25.
Another shorthanded goal, 3-0. There's a drive. Smith knocked that away. In 32 seconds, Bourne will be back on, and you're going to hear this place go wild. It's 3-0 New York. Hartsburg back of the net, 20 seconds. And down to center. That's Maxwell dumping it in. Billy Smith scooped it aside. Cleared it in back of the net, and it's knocked to center ice. Another break for Keller. All alone. Great save by Malanish this time. 2 seconds now. Bourne is on. Listen to the crowd. McAdam set it up. Bobby Smith can't shoot it. Billy Smith stopped it, and now they'll stand up, and they will roar. Live from Long Island, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Get ready for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. Gonna drive a Mustang special tonight. Gonna drive a Mustang special this evening. Gonna drive some hot stuff. Gonna be hot tonight.
The Mustang Special, 2-tone, turbine wheel covers, custom interior, and more. And the manufacturer's suggested retail price has been reduced by $500.
Hot stuff.
We look at Anders Keller. He had a breakaway. He could have got the hat trick tonight. Also the hat trick and the shorthanded situation. There was 2 seconds left. Trying to go through the 5-hole, through the legs of Milosh. Wasn't to be this time. 2 shots for the Stars and 2 goals for the Islanders.
Not bad. What a twist around. And they shoot it in again. I'll give you those scoring plays. First opportunity, Nystrom trying to center it. They might have another yep the way the Islanders are coming. It's 3-0 now, New York. Cleared out of the zone by McCarthy. Then a long shot high off the glass. Tonelli back for it. Trying to move it out of the New York zone with 3:10 left in the period. Tonelli is going to bring it out. He's up to center, hitting the line. Coming in as McEwen on his right. He didn't see the pass. And the North Stars. Smith cleared it. They hit a man going off as they were changing on the goal. Play goes right on though. It's knocked off the boards. Now Minnesota coming back. The pass to Kristoff as he hits the line. Tried to go in. He's in. And a backhand shot was stopped by Billy Smith. What a great save by Billy Smith. He's 41-17 lifetime in the playoffs. You can see why. Man, does he get up for the playoffs. Here's Nystrom to center. He is stopped. Listen to the crowd. Let's go, Billy. Billy Smith, of course, they're talking about 3-0. The Islanders lead in this first period. They're nearing the 18-minute mark. They hold it back to the net from the corner. Potvin gets his pass away. Here comes Tonelli hitting center again. Tonelli dropped it over the line and left it for Bossy. Bossy has it. Bossy is bumped once, then twice. Stayed with it, still after it. But Kristoff for Minnesota. Left it in center, and it's cleared in by Gordie Roberts. 1:50 left in the period. Islanders coming out. Bourne, he was spun around. Maxwell shooting one down the ice and chopped over the glass. The Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Long Island.
The multi-mode brute. Beautiful. In action, a brute. A beauty to handle. A brute that can side discharge, rear bag, mulch, or vacuum your lawn, your choice. And brute enough to have a 3-year limited warranty. The multi-mode brute. 4 beautiful machines in one.
Play just underway as it's cleared in by the Islanders. Bourne after it again. It's centered through the crease. 1:20 left in the period. Bourne gets it back to the line. Rorimer's drive, and that comes off the boards out this way. McAdam trying to clear it. With Maxwell, there's McAdam coming in. North Stars barely want to go, but Lane took him in on the boards. Back of the net. Oh, Gillies. Or rather, Lane went in after a man.
Last minute of play under
a minute left. Now it's Lorimer playing it back to the line. Here comes Gillies again. Low shot. Knocked away by Milosh. 50 seconds left. Minnesota shooting it away. Brian Trottier made it 2-0 from Carroll at 14:38. Then Keller, another shorthanded goal from Trottier at 15:25. 3-0 is the score. New York with 36 seconds left in this opening period.
Well, they say every game is a learning experience. The North Stars are finding out what a well-groomed hockey club this Islander team is, and I think it's important for Glenn Sommore to just get his guys to settle down. They look very nervous. Their passes are bad. They're not skating. Kristoff seems to be the only one that's really motoring out there, and I'm sure you'll have an interesting talk at the end of this first period.
Long shot by Potvin, grabbed by Milosh. So it's Keller, Trottier, and Keller again in this first period for the New York Islanders. 3-0. Potvin racing back, going in against McCarthy. And now we're getting a penalty. Slashing call. McCarthy went after Potvin. This comes at 19:45. I don't know what it proves, Gary, but Minnesota will be shorthanded.
Gary, you mentioned it. The North Stars just don't have the legs right now. They're very, very apprehensive, and especially in their own zone. They seem to be very rattled by the Islanders' composure out there. And boy, what a different look of two teams. We've got a completely composed Islander club, and Minnesota completely shaken right now.
Well, McCarthy, the slash against Dennis Potvin, and Coach Arbor had said we're going to hit at every opportunity and hit the Islanders. Have certainly done that.
14 seconds left in this period. McEwen for New York. Stopped at center by Broughton. He backhands it in. 5 seconds left. That'll do it. McEwen back to the net. Great period for the Islanders. Penalties, whatever, didn't seem to matter. They had it at full strength, even strength. They had it short-handed, fellas.
Well, I really thought that during that 5-minute penalty, that would have been a time for the North Stars to really get on track. That was not the case.
Well, Sonmore's got to just cool those guys down, Gary, in between that intermission and just say, look it, guys, we're in New York, we're down 3-0. But it could have been worse. That's the thing about it. It could have been 4 or 5, but let's get it back together and get going.
And so the score at the end of the first period, the New York Islanders 3, the Minnesota North Stars 0.
Islanders with 2 shorthanded goals while Bob Bourne was serving a major penalty. Lead 3-0. Anders Keller scored twice, and Brian Trottier got his 10th of the playoffs. The Islanders, despite serving that major penalty, outshot Minnesota 10-8. Earlier today, Don Cherry and Mickey Redmond and Gary Dornhofer took to the ice here at the Nassau Coliseum to talk about the power play.
During the Stanley Cup Finals, we're going to show you as many on-ice activities as we can, and the question that comes up is how to stop the Islanders' power play, already setting a net record of 26 power play goals.
Well, Gary, you know, there's a lot of good shooters. Everybody knows about Bossy, Trottier, Big Gillies gets in front of the net, Bobby Bourne. But, you know, I think the key, and Don, you'll agree with me, I'm sure, is that Big Potvin back on the left point.
Potvin's the guy. We have to defend against him all the time. They pass the puck. The whole power play works around him. Now, you were in Philly. You were a good penalty killer. How are you going to set up against them?
Well, let's give a demonstration once, Don. All right, who's going to play Potvin?
Me? I get it.
I'll be the floater.
All right, when Potvin stands up at the blue line there, and I'm sure, Don, that the North Stars are going to pay a little more closer attention to him. This forward has to play close attention to him within a stride of him. Now, he has to be facing this position so he can watch the puck in the corner, who would normally be Trottier, and also keep his eye on Potvin. If he goes in this position, you notice that Potvin can sneak around behind him. That's how he's getting all those good shots in that slot area, because that winger is not facing him properly.
Okay, that's fine. Now, you got Potvin. Now, you right away, you know Bossy's going to see this. You know where Bossy's going to go. Going to float right in here because he's got a lot of room. Right, Mickey? Now
right on. Now I get to play Bossy now?
Yep.
All right. Okay.
All right, 50-goal score.
When the winger sees that, Don, you have to tighten up the box. Potvin suddenly doesn't become the most dangerous player. It's that man in the slot area. So the winger has to go into this position so he can take him. He has to be closer to this man than to Potvin. But again, you notice my position. I'm standing sideways. I can watch the puck carrier. I can watch the slot man. I can keep an eye on Potvin.
Okay, now one thing we've noticed that Potvin does, and he's the only guy that can do this, is that if they got 30 seconds left, if they've got 25 seconds left, he will go in and act. One guy's already tied up in front. Potvin will go in and act as that extra forward all the time.
Now, do the Islanders have somebody covering up at that
No,
case?
sir. No, they don't. They leave it open. They gamble. They leave it. They all flood. That's why they get so many goals.
Well, it's a kind of a strange play, especially near the end of a power play, to leave only one man back, and you become vulnerable for those 2-on-1 breaks against you.
Well, I tell you what they do. You know, Milosh does this a lot, and Billy Smith does a lot, and you people on television have probably heard this, and what they do is they take their sticks, the goalies, with about 10 seconds to go, and they go, and that's what they're doing. They're telling everybody there's 10 seconds left. Potvin, get out of there and cover up, because if they don't, they'll get the breakaways.
Well, one thing that we know, gentlemen, is that there will be a few power play chances tonight, and I guess the Minnesota's best bet is not to take any penalties.
No dummies.
Well, there were power play chances for Minnesota, but the Islanders got the goals on those chances. Coming up next, an interview with the North Stars version of Dennis Potvin, Craig Hartsburg, as Hockey Night in Canada continues in just a moment. Islanders Islanders 3, Minnesota nothing at the end of one period of play here at the Nassau Coliseum, the opener of the Stanley Cup Finals. Craig Hartsburg was such a standout in the series against Calgary that got the North Stars here, but as we all know, yesterday's headlines don't go far, and I know you must be down now. An assessment of the North Stars in the first period, I think, from an unbiased observer, would be jittery. Would that be accurate? Did you feel that way prior to the game?
Yeah, we were all nervous. We got a lot of young guys, and we haven't been in the finals before, but we've been in big series, and we can't use that as an excuse. We just came out flat, and you got to give the Islanders a lot of credit. They put 2 goals behind us, and we had the power play, and that's going to be a big factor in this series. We're going to have to tighten it up defensively on our power play, which is funny to say, but that's what we're going to have to do. Well, of course, I'm sure the Islanders felt the same way, realizing that you had scored some shorthanded goals as well. Glenn Sonmore was very inspirational prior to Game 6. Talk about what it would mean for young players such as yourself to reach the Stanley Cup Final. Now, I suppose he felt he had to top that once he got the team to the final. What did he have to say prior to the game? Well, he just said, hey, we're here, and, we might as well enjoy it and just go out and work the best you can. We know the Islanders are a great team, but, we got confidence in ourselves that, we can play well against the Islanders. And, the first period, we're just going to put in the back of our minds and just try to go out and work the rest of these 2 periods and the next games. The 3 series you played prior to this one, Boston and then Buffalo and Calgary. Would the Islanders compare against one of those teams, or are they in a class by themselves in terms of what they do well? Well, there could be a combination of all 3 teams, really. They skate as well as Buffalo, and, they take the man all the time, Calgary and Boston. We're just going to have to adjust and, keep our game going and skating and moving the puck, and that's been successful thus far in the playoffs for us, so we're just going to have to keep going. Do you feel you've adjusted as the opponents have changed, or have the North Stars played the same way in all 3 series? Well, we've adjusted, to the situations when they arose. In Boston, we had to play a little more physical, and in Buffalo, we skated very well. And again, against Calgary, we had to skate and play physical. And, against Islanders, we're going to have to do the same thing, but we're just going to have to pick it up just another step. Okay, Craig, thank you very much. Dressing room time important in the final, and especially with the position the North Stars find themselves in at the end of one period. We'll let you get back. Craig Hartsburg, a dominant force in the North Stars playoff drive thus far. We'll return with the Stanley Cup playoffs in just a moment. Well, it was supposed to be a large hill to climb for Minnesota, but right off the bat, the North Stars are looking up at a 3-goal New York Islander lead. You don't make predictions unless you have some opportunity to look back and see how you've done, and I suppose you don't review them too often unless you've done well. So we have decided to look back at the predictions made throughout these Stanley Cup playoffs by the full Hockey Night in Canada force, and let you see how we've done. We already know, and there are some of us who are proud of the way we have looked at these playoffs. We missed 2 in the first round, did not pick Minnesota to beat Boston, and can you guess what the other one was? Nobody picked Edmonton, at least. The consensus did not pick Edmonton.
No question about it, Dave. I know in my case, most of the ones I picked didn't come through, but of course Edmonton had a tremendous series against the Canadians, and I don't think anybody expected Minnesota to beat Boston, especially going into Boston where they hadn't won in quite a while. Well,
6 of 8 isn't bad. We moved to the quarterfinals and only missed 1. It was a 7-game series, we said, between Calgary and Philadelphia, but we felt the Flyers would win in Game 7. So did a lot of other people except the Calgary Flames.
Well, the Flames really had quite a year. I know a lot of people thought that they were chokers in the playoffs, but I'll tell you what, they've gotten rid of that, if they were at all, which I don't believe they were. They played super well, and I think they should be congratulated getting this far, and with any luck they could have gotten into the finals, but Minnesota, a great hockey team, and unfortunately they've run into a better one so far here tonight.
Now to the semis. We see the Islanders were picked in 6 and did it easier than that over the Rangers.
Well, I don't think anybody thought that was going to happen either. Of course, 2 years ago the Rangers beating the Islanders, but they've had a relatively easy road here, and some thought, well, maybe they're just relaxed in the week off and the whole thing, but my goodness, they come out here just like a steamroller, and I think Minnesota's got to be back on their heels.
Well, there are theories for everything. Week off you're going to be rusty. The other way is that a week off can do you nothing but good, and the Islanders have proved that. In the Minnesota-Calgary semifinal, Hockey Night in Canada picked the Flames in 7, and the North Stars surprised us for the 2nd time.
Well, again, Minnesota, people having not a good year. I guess most people figured the North Stars wouldn't go too far, and they weren't playing well on the road. But my goodness, they've won every series so far by winning that first game on the road and played well.
And a tough job to do that tonight. In the final, Hockey Night in Canada says the Islanders in 6, and many of the predictions I've seen have called it a shorter series than that. The first period would indicate perhaps that the Islanders will have an easier time, but I don't think it's ever wise to judge a series until you see the sight switch to the home of the underdog team, if you will. A lot can happen in going from games 2 to 3, and whether it will in this series, I don't know, but I don't think it's wise to judge the series off one period.
There's no question about it, Dave. I think that Minnesota in that first period were awful jittery, and of course they got a lot of young guys, and that hurts. The Islanders have been there before, a lot of experience. It showed. I think this series is still going to go quite a distance. It's not going to be over in 4.
Okay, well, we have done 10 right out of 14 predicted thus far, which is an average we will take, and if anybody out there has done better, we welcome your correspondence. Let's go to Bob Cole and Gary Dornhofer for the start of the second period.
And it's 3-0, the New York Islanders. Anders Keller, his third from Langevin and Gording at 2:54. Then the shorthanded group took over. Trottier first at 14:38, then Keller at 15:25. And Gary, while Minnesota had that major penalty to Bourne opportunity, they did nothing. I believe that's going to haunt them.
It certainly was. You know what? I'm really impressed with the Islanders. You thought they would be a little sluggish after that layoff. That was not the case. They seem to be getting stronger in every series that they play. A well-oiled machine that we're watching out there.
What a job of penalty killing the Islanders came up with. And they're still pouring it on. Look at them organized, coming out. Pass comes down on the right side to Trottier. He's offside. And it's called back. Bourne went off for that spearing penalty at 11:12.
We look at Brian Trottier, and many feel that he's probably the best two-way player in the league. And I guess when you saw him against the Rangers going head-on against Barry Beck, the guy has no fear. He will go in there, take a hit to make a play. And then when they say that, I guess that's a very good statement.
McCarthy, we must not forget, is in that penalty box. He went off at 19:45. And Islanders with that big 3-0 lead have another minute and 16 seconds. There's Al Arbor. Naturally confident. He's got a great hockey club. He's done a super job here with the Islanders. Here's McEwen up the blue line, but he couldn't hang on to it. It just trickled over the line. Nearly corrected, but not in time.
Well, two different personalities. Al Arbor, very quiet individual. He's not a holler or a screamer, has everything under control behind the bench. Of course, on the other end, Glenn Sonmore, that guy will never shut up. I mean, he's just bubbling with enthusiasm. And I guess both have been very successful in their own ways.
McEwen from center. Played one across the line. Bossy had stepped in. A little bit anxious. Over across the line. Took the pass, but he had skates, everything in there.
Leading goal scorer and point getter right now, Mike Bossy. 27 points. Remember, Brian Trottier has the NHL record with 29, and I think that one was going to fall.
Trottier has scored again, of course, 2 points in this game. He now has a 21-game scoring streak. Of course, going back to last year. That's not bad in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Bossy up the line, trying to keep it in. McEwen helping, but it's cleared across the line, and swinging back in with it is Smith. 40 seconds left in the penalty to McCarthy. The long shot, Billy Smith, no problem. Now coming back out. This is Trottier with Gillies on his left. Coming in. Bossy on the far side. Gillies goes to the side of the net. Had it knocked off his stick with 25 seconds left in the penalty. Trottier centered it through the crease. Comes back near Potvin. He can't reach it. And it's cleared across the line by McAdam. Up to center ice. The long shot by Palmer was deflected away from the goal. That's McEwen trying to kick at it back there. 7 seconds left in the penalty to McCarthy. Gets ready to come back on now. The Islanders come out again. Pass to Potvin. He shoots it in. Off the boards in the corner. It goes back of the net. Trottier didn't see it first. Now Bossy. He hit the side of the net. That's Gillies trying to dig it out. Penalty is over. Gillies falls. Puck beneath him, so they'll call it. And a face-off coming up in the Minnesota zone from Long Island. This is Stanley Cup 81.
No matter what we tell you, we carry. Whenever we say Canadian Tire, you think we've got the biggest names in sporting goods. But when we say Canadian Tire, you think we've got a huge selection of brand name tools and hardware. But we say Canadian Tire and... So now, after seeing all this, when I say Canadian Tire, what do you think? Now you got it.
There's a lot more to Canadian Tire than tires.
Now we look at Clark Gillies, the big tough guy at this Islander Hockey Club. His game is playing very aggressive, and you'll see him time and time again in front of Gilles Malache doing the screening.
Lorimer put it in on the boards. Comes right back of the net again. Nystrom went in after it in the corner. Trying to take pain out of the play. Now they hold it. And a face-off again coming up in the Minnesota zone. A lot of rookies on this Minnesota team as you look at Mr. Overtime, Bob Nystrom. Mickey, you're a rookie going into the Stanley Cup playoffs one time. For the Montreal Canadiens, has to be tough for the rookies.
Well, you know, in those days, we were happy just to get a shift on the ice, Bob. But I'll tell you, a lot of pressure out there, and it really showed in the North Stars in that first period. But, well, you just want to get the legs and get going out there and get feeling a little bit stronger as time goes on.
Minnesota shooting it down the ice. They have to get something going here in this period. Maxwell can't keep it in. Tonelli up to watch him. Dropped it back. Hartsburg lost it. That's close. Tonelli went after it. Now Hartsburg gets going. Hitting the line. He cuts to center. Hartsburg going in. Gets set from the point. He might shoot it there. Billy Smith covered on the angle beautifully. Went down and made the stick save. Islanders all come back. Try to cover up. Bobby Smith couldn't get away from Lorimer. Now it's cleared out of the zone by Merrick. Nystrom went after it near center. Cicerelli got back. Nystrom picked it up, and he is offside.
Now Dino Cicerelli, he has eclipsed that rookie goal-scoring feat. He has 11 right now. Christoph had it last season. And, you know, you wonder what can Glenn Sonmore say other than loosen up, guys, but it's up to the players to get themselves going, and it's an experience that you go through.
You know, I don't think there's any question the North Stars will play better. The question mark is going to be, are the Islanders going to let them do anything more than they're doing?
Now the pass by Smith. Grabbed by the Islanders again. Langevin laid it up on the right side. McEwen went after it. In across the line. Anderson tried a shot up high. That's knocked into the corner. McCarthy tried to move it out. The Islanders coming down, though. Here they are at center. Carroll was hit hard as he tried to go in. Barrett threw that solid check. Greg Smith couldn't move it out. Keller kept it in, whipped it in front. Didn't work. Carroll chopped at it near center ice, but Minnesota bring it back in. Long shot nowhere near the net. Smith coming out to cover up. He didn't have to. McEwen racing back. He's up over the line with Keller. He dropped it beautifully. Here's Carroll going away. Into the corner, he centered it. Minnesota can't move it out. Carroll again to Keller. Getting set. Low drive, and it was blocked in front of Gilles Malache. But it's been all New York. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Long Island.
This is the Electromulch lawnmower from Canadian General Electric, and it does a great disappearing act. Watch. The Electromulch cuts and recuts its clippings into a fine mulch and then blows it down out of sight, where it becomes fertilizer. The result? One beautiful lawn with no raking, no bagging, no storing or pouring. And that all adds up to a few magic moments for yourself. Thanks, CGE.
Bob Cole, Gary Dornhofer, Mickey Redmond, at the Coliseum. Long Island, New York, 3-0 the Islanders. We're here in the second period of Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final. Trottier comes to center ice. Guess who parked on the right side? And Bossy just missed that. It rolled through his legs. Potvin hits Trottier. Bossy swings to the other wing. Pass through the middle. Bourne chopped it into the Minnesota zone. Giles has to hurry. Bossy after him. But Giles gets away. A pass down on the left wing. Coming in is Palmer. He's got that hard shot. Put it right on the net. Pretty accurate, too. Smith, no trouble, though. Here's Bossy with a chance. Breaking in for the right side. Took a shot. That's blocked by Meloche. The rebound was right there for Trottier. Hit back to the net. He stops in there. Looking around. He centered it. And Meloche covering up in the crease. And he hangs on to it.
Talk about somebody shifty. That Trottier reminds you a lot of Gretzky behind the net. He took the fake on one side. Had a couple of Minnesota defenders going that direction. The puck almost went in the net off a Minnesota defenseman. Fortunately, Meloche covered it up before anything could happen.
Well, Trottier, he's a complete hockey player. I have never seen anybody get into the play the way he does. Heady, always looking for that open man. When you have the likes of Bossy out there, you know all you have to do is slip that puck through, and somebody will be there.
You know, Gary, Bossy does a super job, probably the best I've ever seen it, getting into the open for the open pass. He plays well without the puck. He gets himself away from the checkers, in a position to stick on the ice and get ready to take that quick wrist shot. That's the reason he had 68 goals this year.
Well, you talk about all the X's and O's that go on a blackboard, but the ability to get away from your check, getting into an area where there's nobody around, and then getting the puck, that's what makes this team so great.
And something I've noticed, gentlemen, when Trottier's team doesn't have the puck, he's a great checker. He'll rough it up with anyone.
Well, he's a sturdy son of a gun, too.
Here's Potvin taking a shot, didn't go through. Into the corner. They're back through the crease in Minnesota. Scurrying out of the zone is Smith. His pass. That was knocked down. They have to come back to try it again. Artsberg in his own zone. Nystrom forechecking. The pass from Payne didn't go anywhere. Now Payne from his own zone. Nystrom watching him. Played up across the line. Bobby Smith ran into his man. Morrow knocked him down. Here's McAdam coming in with Payne. Broken up by Morrow. He got back quickly. Nystrom can't reach it. Maxwell circles for Minnesota. The long pass going astray all the way down the ice. Morrow is coming in to touch it. And icing is called against the Minnesota North Stars. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Long Island.
Just perchance you perceive, since Perry, Paul, Pam, Penny, Peter, and Patrick picked the pleasure pack, that your name must begin with P to purchase one. Relax. Susan picked the pleasure pack. Marty picked the pleasure pack. Ernie and Diane picked the pleasure pack. Jack picked the pleasure pack. And Perry picked the Molson's pleasure pack.
Glenn Sonmore, the Minnesota coach, got to get him going. He never stops trying. Butch Goring of the Islanders, we understand, has been cut the lower lip. He is now receiving sutures in the clinic here at the Coliseum. We hope he will be back. We haven't heard yet if he will return this evening. Knowing Goring, he'll want to get back in, that's for sure. Now here's Big Gillies from the corner back to the line. McEwen shot, hit the goal post. Good shot by McEwen, an inch or two away from a goal. Now a penalty coming up. Minnesota. Gillies was dumped back in the net.
Again, the Islanders are tramping in the North Star zone and drawing the penalties. Clark Gillies was in full motion, but before we look at that, McEwen on a shot from the point will rattle it off the left goal post. Now McEwen had all kinds of time. I mean, the wingers are not watching the point man. The Islanders are getting lots of shots.
You see how far out Meloche was on that shot. I think he almost expected a deflection, and it never came. It almost went in the open net, but you're right, Gary. The Islanders just pouring in on top of Minnesota, forcing them to make mistakes, take penalties. As a result, there, Gillies jumping on, trying to jump on that loose puck, hauled down by Greg Smith. The Islanders, another power play opportunity.
Oh my, it's 3-0 New York. And the extra man again. Potvin to McEwen. Back to Potvin. Potvin closing in. Shot is blocked beautifully. Cleared down the ice. That's Anderson. He'll go in for a shot. And Billy Smith with a blocker knocked it away. Back for New York. Three of them. Bossy on the left side. Here's Bourne trying to break in. He was stopped. Hammered along the boards by Roberts. McCune stopped it near the line. They organize now. A pass over to Bossy. Fanned on it. Couldn't get a shot away at all. And it was cleared off Broughton's stick down the ice. A minute 25 left in the penalty. To Greg Smith of Minnesota. 3-0 New York. We're in the second period. Power play Islanders and Gillies going into the corner. He's in after McCarthy. McCarthy is dumped. It comes back to Potvin. Potvin couldn't make the play. A break now. Coming down is Palmer. Chasing him, McEwen. Palmer's backhand. Shot kicked away by Smith. He just stood there and made the skate save look easy. Billy Smith, unbeatable so far. Now Meloche clearing one away on the side. Bossy looked for it, couldn't find it. Was knocked down the ice. 40 seconds left of the Smith penalty. Islanders leading 3-0. Coming in again on a power play. Keller anxious again on the right side. Offside.
Little nifty move there by Keller with the skate to deflect it to one of his teammates. We look at Brad Palmer, who was in, well, semi-breakaway. McEwen was doing an excellent job to get back along with Potvin. It was too bad he was on his backhand. Really didn't get a lot on that shot.
Good save by Smith, though. That could have turned this hockey game around if there's such a thing at this point. A shorthanded goal by Minnesota.
Well, the young pesky man, number 91 for New York Islanders, Butch Goring, is all stitched up, ready to go again.
Just call him Zipper and away we go, eh? He's not going to let a few stitches keep him out of this game.
Here comes Goring, back swinging in the corner, waiting for Lorimer to make his move. It goes to Lane. He tried to set up Goring, it didn't work. Now Lane comes back, but the puck flies high over the glass into the crowd. 12:08 left of the second period. 3-0 New York.
Well, the Islanders on this power play suffering from the Minnesota problems that they had on their power play in the first period. They're really not jumping. They're allowing the North Stars to carry the play to them a little bit. And as a result, you see what happens. Defensively, you get weak. You get some opportunities against you.
There's Goring. They can just pick out that lower lip.
Gary, they say that helmet he's wearing is 100 years old. It's the helmet he wore from the days of his minor hockey. You see how different it is to the rest of the helmets that the players are using.
Can you imagine, fellas, 26 power play goals in this playoff season? And we're just started the finals. This New York Islanders hockey club is something else.
26 power play goals and now 9 short-handed goals. 35 man advantage, disadvantage goals scored in the playoffs for the Islanders.
10 seconds left in the penalty to Greg Smith. Islanders Nystrom trying to move it, can't hang on to it. McAdam tucked it back to his own line, and the pass to Bobby Smith with his skate. Now Greg Smith is back on, so the teams are at full strength. 3-0 New York. Billy Smith out of the net would clear it away from in front. It's centered by Bobby Smith, but here come the Islanders led by Tonelli. He's in with Merrick. Merrick to the left wing, got the pass, back to Tonelli. He didn't quite control it. Still after it in the corner, though. Nystrom goes in to help. Nystrom is belted back there by 2 North Stars. Nystrom still fights for possession. Now Bobby Smith comes in to put a skate down on it. 2 or 3 players come in bumping. Linesmen are in very quickly.
Well, this line is noted for their forechecking and hitting. Tonelli, Nystrom, Merrick, and they're giving a good example of it.
With a score, New York Islanders 3, Minnesota North Stars nothing. This is Stanley Cup 81.
We call this a Christmas tree. And like all Christmas trees, the exciting part is underneath. To get it more oil, Esso engineers employ horizontal drilling. Vertically injected steam helps move the oil along the horizontal pipe and up to the Christmas tree. Searching for innovative technology such as this is just one example of what experienced and skilled Canadians at Esso are doing. At Esso, the search must continue.
11:20 left in the second period. 3-0 New York Islanders. All the scoring in the opening 20 minutes. Minnesota unable to get it going against this most complete New York team. Lots of time yet, and they know it. Trottier stopped one with his chest at the blue line. They have to hustle back on side, though. Bossy over to Bourne. Bourne's shot picked right back out by Malash. Now Broughton tried to move it to center. It's broken up at the line by Lane, and he shoots it down for New York. Smith is going back. Icing is called against the New York Islanders.
Now we look at Gordy Lane. One thing about him, and the reason he's out there, clears the front of the net. Big guy. I like the way he handles himself out there. And you know, with the North Stars, they don't really have a guy going in front in a stationary position like Houston or Willie Pletton did for Calgary, but they seem to go in front as the shot is originating from the point. Just skate in front and try for the deflection.
Well, they do, Gary. They hit for the front of the net, which is what you're supposed to do, but they don't hang around there too long. If it doesn't come to them or the shot is wide or deflected wide, they just continually keep in motion. That's been a trademark of this hockey club, and as a result, they keep that motion going all the time, and they're moving and quickly, moving very quickly most of the time, except for the first period here tonight.
Jack Carlson, number 21, he gave the Minnesota North Stars a real lift in Minnesota in the 6th game. Perhaps he's out there for that reason, to try to do the same thing tonight.
And he's on, of course, with Cicerelli on the right side and Bobby Smith playing at center. He's playing on 2 lines. He also centers Payne and McAdam. Double duty Bobby Smith. Durable. Playing something like 35 minutes a game.
Bobby, you wonder how he can hang on and keep being double shifted. You know, he has to tire with the thumping that he's taken so far tonight.
6'4", 210. He's big, strong, young, tough. Here's Carroll coming in. He shoots one off the boards, comes right back out front. Hartsburg knocked it around the other side, but it's kept in. Lane shot, nowhere near the net. Sutter went after it back there. They knock it into the crease. There's Nystrom looking for it. Nystrom pass. Another shot. Another shot. They score. Sutter had 2 or 3 chances at it. Malash was down. It's 4-0 New York.
I think Billy Carroll may have knocked that puck into the net. He was flat in his rear end, right in the crease in front of Malash. We'll have a look at it. You see Sutter gets 2 or 3 chances. How many times we've seen him in the playoffs right in that same spot over there? Watch this. Good saves by Malash. Billy Carroll standing there at this point, but he'll end up on the ice.
You know,
there it is right there.
You expect the goaltender to make the first save, but then you need help from your defense clearing out and grabbing a hold of that rebound, and Malash is down on all fours, really doesn't have much of a chance on it. Carroll takes the beating after the puck is in the net.
Boy, that's what you got to take when you go in front of that net.
Number 23, Bob Nystrom.
Boy, Malash, Gary, made 2 super stops while he was down in that play, and you're right, you can't expect the guy to make that many, and the Islanders just allowed him to stand around there. You see Carroll getting hit after the goal was in. That's too late.
Yeah, well, this has been the big difference of this hockey game, is the ability of the Islanders to really out-muscle the North Stars for that puck. They're coming up with a puck, they're making contact, and then they're setting up their plays.
9:58, the time of the goal. Sutter and Nystrom assisting. Billy Carroll, his 3rd. 4-0 New York. Here's McEwen with Langevin on the defense to the left. McEwen carried across center, lifted a high one in. Back there's Gordy Roberts. Roberts lobbed it on the boards. Minnesota now down 4 goals. Move it down inside the Islanders' line. Solheim went in. He's on for his first shift. Couldn't get there in time. Icing. Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment.
The world car, Ford Escort, now shows you another face. The sporty Ford Escort SS. It shows its stripes, pulls with front-wheel drive, handles with rack and pinion steering, smooths with 4-wheel independent suspension, informs and invites. The sporty Ford Escort SS. Test drive a front-wheel drive Escort at your Ford dealer now.
Bob Cole, Gary Dornhofer, and Mickey Redmond in the broadcast booth. Right in among 15,500, something like that, here at the Coliseum, Long Island in New York. And it's 4-0 for the hometowners. Islanders jumping out front here in the second period with 9:29 left to play. McEwen on the board, spinning away from his check McCarthy. Down in the wing goes Keller. Goring is with him. Pass to Gillies, stopped that one. Bosch knocked it away. Roberts trying to clear it. Couldn't do it, but over on this side, Solheim shoots a long one in wide of the net. That's Anderson looking for it. But McEwen covers up from the corner for New York. Keller got his pass. Rolled it out for Goring. Here he is. Butch Goring coming in. They're changing as the play goes on. And Minnesota looking for some skating room, trying to bring it out. Smith got away from a check. Roberts backhands it over the line. And it's McAdam trying a shot from a bad angle. It comes back to Barrett. Barrett kept it in. Gets it again. Another shot kicked away by Billy Smith. Nystrom left it there at center for Merrick. In on the wing, Tonelli. Tonelli overskates it, put the brakes on, and he couldn't move back quickly enough. Minnesota trailing by 4 goals. Trying to set up Smith near center, tipped off his stick down the ice, and as Potvin touches it, icing is called against Minnesota.
Well, on Thursday night, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals, the North Stars will be here in Long Island. That'll be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And you wonder when the North Stars are going to get their act together. It seems that their skating is almost at a crawl right now. And normally the tendency, Mickey, is that when you have that lead, you kind of sit back and try to protect it. That has not been the case with the Islanders. They just keep going and coming at you.
The Islanders won't do that. There's no question about it. They've got the legs as well as the Minnesota team. So we expected a good skating hockey series. We're getting it so far only out of one hockey club. Minnesota's not moving off a dime.
Maxwell played it in for Minnesota. Now it's knocked back to center ice, and the Islanders just shoot it down again. Bossy comes in looking for it against Hartsburg. Potier ran into him and fell. Now Minnesota coming out. Play comes to the line. It comes Kristoff. Backhands it in the general direction of the net, but easy save for Smith. They nearly set up a break right there for Bourne. Went by him, and icing called against New York. Live from Long Island, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Join the movement to light.
7 minutes and 38 seconds remaining in this second period. The New York Islanders with 3 goals in the first period. Another here in the second, lead it 4-0 in this Game 1 of the best of 7 Stanley Cup Final. It's been all New York, defensively, offensively. Now Keller back in his own zone. Left it right there. Lorimer dumped the high one down the ice. And Roberts turns in the Minnesota zone. To Giles, right away. Gillies ran into him on the boards. Roberts coming out on this side. Takes it across his own line, being watched by Goring. Played it by Keller now into the New York zone. Back first is Bob Lorimer. He's bumped. McCarthy couldn't center it. Comes right in front. He scored! Anderson jumped on it when McCarthy just took a swing at it. It came in front of Smith, and Anderson whacked it home. It's 4-1.
Well, Aaron Anderson, a free agent, signed in '77 from the Swedish national team. Finally gets things going by getting his own rebound. Lane had him on the original hit, but Anderson bounced off the check. There you go, and knocked in the rebound.
Well, Gordie Lane didn't play the body on that. He tried, but Anderson, very nifty, slipped around him as he dumped the puck off of Billy Smith. Kind of a funny goal for the North Stars, but a big break for them to get that first one on the scoreboard.
Well, you had talked earlier, Mickey, that the North Stars, they need that second shot. That's the way to beat Smith on the rebound. This is the first time tonight where they've had that second shot.
That's right.
13:04. That's Anderson, his second of the playoffs from Cicerelli at 13:04.
They gave the assist to Cicerelli. Anderson the goal. That's the important thing. And Minnesota now on the board. It could give them a big lift. They're trailing by 3 now. But no doubt they'll get some life from that goal by Anderson. Stanley missed a pass. Slapped back inside the New York line, and Potvin gave it to Morrow. He just chopped at it. Stopped by Barrett at center, and he shoots it in. The Stars come in looking for it. Here's Payne. He was bumped away by Morrow. And Potvin brings it back out for New York. Nystrom on the right wing. Potvin going in, trying to set up Nystrom. Trailing the play is Merrick. Merrick to Nystrom. His shot was deflected off his stick. Merrick knocked it on the boards. Nystrom went after it over there. Nystrom keeping it in. Now he's going to get a high sticking penalty. Nystrom, I think, will wait. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Long
Islanders
Island.
penalty, number 27, John Tonelli.
You know, it makes our day when folks come back and say there's nothing like Kentucky Fried Chicken. What'll it be this time? Thrift box? Fine. A whole chicken, fresh and golden brown. You got to admit, Kentucky Fried Chicken sure is the best chicken in town. You'll know what we mean the minute you bite it. Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's nothing like it.
Play just underway. It's Tonelli of the Islanders who's off for high sticking. And now Minnesota with a great opportunity, the man advantage. They play it around inside the line. Broughton gets it back to Giles. He took his shot, deflected high over the glass and into the crowd. Anderson, the goal for Minnesota from Cicerelli at 13:04.
Well, you talk about youngsters out there killing a penalty. Here is Bill Carroll, only 22 years old, from the London Knights, where he played his junior hockey. Made a good defensive play there, just putting a stick down in front of Giles' shot.
Good example of the value of a wrist shot there, Gary. If Giles maybe had just taken the wrist shot from the point rather than a big, long wind-up to slap it, that puck probably would have gone through to the net where the Minnesota players were, a chance to deflect it or even go in the net.
Right, ask any defenseman, and his idea is to score from that position rather than just put it out in front.
Now with 1:25 left in the penalty to Tonelli of New York. Islanders try to clear it down the ice to get it up to the Minnesota line. Goring in for checking. Carroll, the other penalty killer. There's Goring. He'll be on it all night. Goring coming in, might get a shot. No, he won't. Ridden into the boards by Roberts. Now Roberts gets away from Goring. Goring lost the helmet. Staying with it, though. Goring getting a big hand. Kristoff now lobbed the pass. A bad pass to Giles. And Minnesota has to come back. And that Goring something.
Well, there's persistent checking by Butch Goring, and that Islander penalty killing unit, aren't they something? All the time, just hounding, not allowing the North Stars a chance to get set up.
There's Giles, his pass in behind Kristoff, but he recovered. Kristoff bumped to the ice by Morrow. That put his man offside, and it's called with 32 seconds left in the penalty.
You know, Gary, this morning, there's a look at that ancient helmet of Butch Goring's. They fired it over. Balash fired it over to the bench. Goring coming out to pick it up. You know, we're talking to Lou Nanny this morning, and he mentioned that he didn't want his players to dump the puck in. He was hoping to be able to carry the puck in, but the Islanders have done a super job here. The defensemen standing up at the blue line and forcing Minnesota. They're making mistakes.
And the shifts are very short. I noticed on 30 seconds during that penalty killing, the Islanders changed, sent out 2 freshmen. You can, have that persistent forechecking if you stay short shift.
Balash comes out of the net. Poke it away from Trottier. 18 seconds left in the New York penalty. It's 4-1, the Islanders. Trottier now forechecking on Hartsburg. Minnesota trying to organize on this power play. It has been ineffective so far, and they're offside again at the New York blue line.
You know, what's happening then, too, Mickey, is that when the North Stars do make the play coming out of their zone, you know, everybody is standing still. You're not going to beat anybody that way.
Take a break here and go to Dave Hodge.
Coming up in the second intermission, I'll talk to Clark Gillies of the New York Islanders. We'll have Don Cherry's Coach's Corner, a special version to deal with coaching in the Stanley Cup Final. That and more in the second intermission.
Long shot by Hartsburg. Again, Minnesota offside. Trottier is out there again. Penalty killing role. He has now tied Bobby Orr's record of 14 consecutive point games.
Well, Bob, you were asking me before about being a rookie with the Canadiens. One thing about those years in Montreal is that we had guys like Beliveau, Richard, Tremblay, Worsley, Ferguson, great veterans to call upon that veteran experience going into the playoffs. The Minnesota North Stars, on the other hand, have very few players over 25 years old that have been this far, let alone into the Stanley Cup Finals, to draw that experience from.
Minnesota showed a sign last year. They proved it this year. It was no fluke. Here they are in the final. I would say they have a great future.
Absolutely.
There's Nystrom coming in. Merrick trying to go through. Nystrom! Oh! He missed the far corner by an inch or two. That's all. It's 4-1 New York. They got away that time. The Stars did. And they come right back here. Billy Smith out of the net, scooping it in behind the goal. Ball is coming out. Ball gets to the line of Merrick. Long pass going into the wing for Tonelli, did not work. Now Merrick slapped it in. Back for the goal. Malage stopping that. And it's Greg Smith for Minnesota. His pass over the right side and right back through the middle. This is Solheim coming in. That is shot goal. The rebound right in front. Billy Smith left it. It was an easy, weak shot. It was deflected.
Now, General Manager Lou Nanne said, look, we're just happy to be here. You know, he wants to be everything low-key, but he believes his North Stars, if they play to their potential, can certainly give the Islanders a go. Watch Nystrom. He's got a good whack at it, but just fires it wide as he was coming in for that rebound. That second man heading for the net, so very important.
2:47 left in the second period. The New York Islanders 4, Minnesota 1. This is McEwen coming out. Didn't get too far. He was stopped by Anderson. Anderson from the corner. He centered it. Solheim goes in there. Looking around. There's a penalty coming up, and it's against the New York Islanders. Another big chance coming up for Minnesota.
Well, you know, it's anybody's ball game at this point. Talk about a turnaround all of a sudden with that North Star goal, and now the second penalty in a row by the Islanders, and a big opportunity. You get into this game with only 2 down, anything could happen, of course.
Well, I'm not so sure, you know, after watching the Islanders kill off penalties with those 2 shorthanded goals.
You know, I was going to say, Gary, you're talking about Nanne saying with, of course, a bit of a smile that we're just happy to be here. If anybody believes that, we've also got some swampland they can look at, too.
That's right.
Nanne knows what he's doing. I'll
Fly like a fox, isn't he?
You betcha. Happy to be here, but we're going to win. That's what Louis was saying.
I don't think it's selling that Brooklyn Bridge over there. He's shrewd. He's done a great job out there in Minnesota, Lou Nanne, and loving every minute of it. This team can get a goal now. Let me tell you, mister, we're in for it in the third period, but Goring is breaking away for New York. Oh, that went through Malage and just missed the far corner. Minnesota now with a man advantage. 1:35 left in the penalty. They get it across the line, and that's all. Back for Bourne. He's in there with Keller. Circles back. Dropped it to the line to Potvin. To Morrow. Morrow played it high down the ice.
See, the Islanders, they don't think ice it when they get a hold of it when they're killing a penalty. Is the opportunity there to go offensively? That's the first thing they're thinking. Only when they're in trouble do they ice it.
Bobby Smith is met right there at center by Carroll. Now Hartsburg trying to bring it in. Carroll knocked it away from him. Bobby Smith couldn't get the pass. Hartsburg tries it again. Gets up over the line this time. Hartsburg stick handling along the boards. New York setting up that box. Trying to hold them off. Bobby Smith knocked it down. They bring it back outside the line for the face-off, and now 51 seconds left in the penalty to the New York Islanders.
You know, a guy that we have not mentioned, which the North Stars hope will be back in action, is Tim Young. Had that minor knee surgery. He is skating right now, and hopefully for game 2, possibly
could certainly use Tim Young in that lineup.
No question about it, Gary. Also, Kevin Maxwell with some back spasms, not playing tonight. They hope to have him back in game 2. Gary Sargent out for the year with spinal fusion, and Mike Eves with a series of concussions out for the season.
In back of the net, Broughton on the boards, holding it there, and again they'll have a face-off, but this time it's just to the left of Billy Smith with 40 seconds left in Trottier's penalty.
I was really impressed with young Broughton, how he is able to cover up in that slot area. Rookies not always noted for their checking abilities, but Broughton has made a believer out of me. I can recall the play against Calgary against McMillan when he just took the puck away from him and McMillan was ready to score a goal.
What was it Nanny said? He said his head is so far ahead of the game, it's unbelievable for a youngster.
Cicerelli got the draw to him. Broughton on the boards again. Into Cicerelli in the corner. Back to Broughton along the boards. Goring trying to watch him, doing a pretty good job too, and they get it to center ice. Less than a minute to go in this period. It's 4-1 New York. Minnesota with a man advantage for another 20 seconds. They dearly love a power play goal. Now Bourne trying to pull it out of the zone. Didn't work. Cicerelli gets a chance. Not much of a chance, mind you. He was upended by Roller. And now Lane fired it off the glass down the ice. The penalty is over. Trottier steps back on. 30 seconds left in the period. Minnesota's play to center ice. Broken up there. And Lane couldn't clear it. Kristoff fed it through. Right in front. And the pass went to Lane, who had fallen. And he slides to the board.
Well, I'll tell you, there was a break that almost cost the Islanders. Gordy Lane, last man back, tried to stick handle with a puck at center ice. There you'll see it right after he's done it. The Minnesota team breaking in 3-on-1, or actually none until the right defenseman came back. But what an opportunity that was for the North Stars. If they score with only 15 seconds left, you go in 2 down. It's anybody's game in the third period.
But you have to admire Gordy Lane, his hustle getting back and perhaps saving that one. It just hit his shin pad and he held it for a stoppage of play in the corner. He made a mistake but was able to recover.
I think the Islanders really have been a little lax here in the last 10 minutes. And Bob, you mentioned it. Get that lead and sit on it a little bit.
Kristoff had that good opportunity just seconds ago. And now only 6 seconds left in the period. It's in back to the Islanders' net. That'll do it with Potvin in control. The horn goes to end the second period. Minnesota and New York each getting a goal. And so the score at the end of the second period, the New York Islanders 4, the Minnesota North Stars 1.
Name's Bob Riley. Been a professional guide going on 30 years. Spent half my life fishing Old Horseshoe Lake. Fish bite here like no place else. So do the bugs. So I pack a pro, Deep Woods Off. 'Cause around here, black flies and mosquitoes got teeth like a chainsaw. But Deep Woods Off's tougher. It's 100% repellent. Take it from old Bob. Deep Woods Off works. It's made by pros, used by pros.
When the going gets rough and the pressure is steady,
Severe weather warning.
the only battery for me is my Ever-Ready.
Ever-Ready batteries. They've got power to spare. That's why so many people rely on Ever-Ready. You can depend on them.
On a dark, rainy night, the lights got to be right, so we just keep going steady. Me and my Ever-Ready.
They've got power to spare.
We want to make you smile.
Welcome back. I see you brought a friend. My boss. Hasn't smiled the whole trip. My back. I think you'll like our beds.
Big
room. Everything all right? Just fine. Call me for dinner. In an hour. We made him smile.
Come to Holiday Inn where your smile says you're #1 people pleasing.
There's a company here in Canada that makes an amazing product for your car's engine. It can improve your car's fuel efficiency, give you quicker starts, even help your car run better. And the cost of 4 is about the same as the price of an oil change. A revolutionary new device? No. It's a fresh set of Champion spark plugs. Think about it next time you're at the pumps. Champions can make a difference. Champion, the world's #1 seller.
For the second straight period, the Islanders outshot Minnesota 10-8. The goals were even. Billy Carroll putting the Islanders up by 4. And then Kent Eric Anderson getting the North Stars on the scoreboard. It is 4-1 at the end of 2 periods. With me in the second intermission is Clark Gillies. And let's talk about what the Islanders have done to get here. Some observers, it would seem this has been an easier trip than last year, if only because you've done it as a first-place team as opposed to coming from 5th place. Easier might not be a word you would use, but I'm sure it's got to be different.
Well, it really hasn't been that much easier. I think we've played good hockey. We worked hard for, I think most of the games we played for a good hard 60 minutes, which has given us great success. And when you're playing well, and then we got a lot of talent on our team, when we're playing as well as we can, we're going to beat a lot of teams quite easily, I think.
As you look back, was the Edmonton series good for you? Because take that away and you swept the Leafs, didn't really get a challenge from them. And while the Rangers played pretty well, the Islanders didn't lose a game in that series. Did the Oilers help you in retrospect?
Well, the Oilers have a fiery young team. They gave us a lot of scares. They were in most of those games, you know, right to the end. The 2 games they beat us, they played super here. They were loose. They just went out and played hockey. They gave us the feeling that, you know, we had to go out there and work as hard as we could if we were going to win. And I think you need that. Sometimes you can get a little bit overconfident, and they kind of helped us in that respect.
How about the degree of satisfaction that you had by beating the Rangers, not only beating them, but sweeping them and removing all those memories of 2 years ago?
Well, that was a great feeling. I, myself, was more enthused about the fact that we won 4 straight. They have a good hockey team, and what happened 2 years ago, you really couldn't worry about. That's what everybody was talking about. But you know, our main concern was just going out there and beating a good hockey team, whether it was 4 straight or 4 out of 7. You know, it really didn't matter. We just played as well as we could and then hope for the best.
Now everybody's picking the Islanders to win. Almost everybody, anyway. The Stanley Cup final. That cannot concern you, can it?
Well, we feel we're picking ourselves to win too. So. You know, we're up against a good hockey team in Minnesota. We've had a couple of breaks, got a couple of shorthanded goals. It was even that second period. They played pretty well. We just got to keep working and not take anything for granted and just go out there and try and do our best every period.
Well, the Islanders have done an awfully good job of not taking anything for granted so far in these playoffs, and we're sure it's going to continue that way. Clark, thanks for coming. Clark Gillies of the Islanders, and Hockey Night in Canada will continue in just a moment.
Familiar initials, CGE. For nearly 100 years, Canadian General Electric's symbol of service. A trademark found in a lot of unexpected places. On giant motors that drive this new rapid intercity train. And this Coast Guard icebreaker. On traffic control systems. And this virtually unbreakable glass substitute we call Lexan. On generators and turbines exported for some of the world's largest power stations. On transmission and distribution equipment that helps deliver power. And on familiar products you use in your home, like these work-saving appliances. On radios and cassette recorders, and every type of light bulb imaginable. Today, CGE Research is developing products and services for the future, helping make us a leading manufacturing company in Canada. CGE, a symbol of nearly 100 years of progress for people, from Canadian General Electric.
Quaker State helps cars last.
It's true. If you look after your equipment, it's going to last. That's why we use Quaker State motor oil on our farm. In our equipment, trucks, in my snowmobile, in our 4-wheel drive, winter and summer. We take care of our equipment with a lot of help from Quaker State. It's the best-selling motor oil in North America. Quaker State says their motor oil helps cars last. And I think they're right.
Down the Matagami, the Humber, from the great renewable forests. They come, logs. Logs to build a better Canada. And Homelight is there. Homelight, the chainsaw king. Rugged as the men who run it, men who fell the mighty fir and see it rise again. When the time in your life comes to get a chainsaw, get the king. A Canadian-made Homelight, the chainsaw king.
The Islanders are off and running in search of their second straight Stanley Cup with a 3-goal lead at the 40-minute mark of this opening Stanley Cup final game. The players on these teams, all they're concerned about right now, we're sure, is the Stanley Cup, but there's much more than hockey to think about at other times for the days when hockey is no longer the big topic in their lives.
imagine once they become professional that for at least 9 or 10 months of the year, most of what they do is organized for them by somebody else. And the difficulty is that the hockey player hasn't had the time to properly prepare his skills and his life experiences in such a way that he can make the transition into the non-hockey world, which would cause me some concern, because when the day comes when they've got to move out of there, the ball changes and they have to be totally responsible for everything that they do.
Well, I think first of all, I have to realize, as most hockey players, that I don't have any practical business experience. And for me to get involved in business, I really have to rely on other people. And in the past, I've been associated for 6 years with an advertising firm in New York, and I think that I learned to develop sort of an interest in advertising, and I enjoyed it. Now investment is very important in my life. Real estate is an area that I seem to find enjoyment in.
The average hockey player during his playing career is earning well above the average earning Canadian. However, their high earning period as an athlete doesn't last very long relative to other working people. And therefore, if you looked at the career earning path, unless they have made careful plans for the future, the professional hockey players' average income could be below average.
The many demands on their time, especially traveling, severely limit the amount of time that they can spend with their investments. And that's why so many of them are coming to investment professionals and giving them their money and saying, here, look after it for me, invest it for me, and we'll review the results later. And I think that's very, very important when they can't watch it on a day-to-day basis. And they need to trust professional investment advice.
Presently, I've gotten involved with a Canadian firm called Starcom, headed by Jerry Patterson, and 5 of us hockey players, Lanny McDowell, Darryl Sidler, Larry Robinson, Marcel Dion, and myself, are involved in this firm, which is basically a promotional firm. And
Jerry Patterson calling.
We're going to bring something back to the people who want to hire us and use us to advertise their labels.
Willie Mays has an interesting quote. He says that the professional athlete has a career that's both rewarding and short, but mostly short. And I think that's very true in the National Hockey League today. With drafts taking place with athletes at 18 years of age, the average age is dropping. It's down 3 to 5 years right now. Chicago Blackhawks, for example, average 25.2 years of age. So that we're going to see many hockey players, in effect, going into a second career at age 28. I think that the most important thing for those athletes to do today is to look to a second career. Learn as much as they can about business.
When they're finished their hockey careers, they'll be able to walk into any boardroom in the country. If I had any advice to give athletes today, it would be as early as possible in your playing career, start to learn the basic essentials of business so that you have an opportunity to develop those basics further when that final day does come.
There's an incredible need for a hockey player. I think it's even greater than in most people in business, because these people are going to be changing their cultures. First of all, they're not prepared emotionally or mentally for the changes that are going to happen to them in their family or in the community or outside. And I know for certain that they hurt as much as the next person hurts when their services are no longer required.
By coincidence, a few of us were discussing prior to the game the number of players 30 years of age or older in the NHL this season, and we counted only 70, an average of just 3 per team. So what we just heard is something that a lot of hockey people must discuss. We'll return with the Stanley Cup Playoffs Coach's Corner in just a moment. Islanders 4 and the Minnesota North Stars 1 with 20 minutes or perhaps more to go in this opening game. Here's a hockey person who found a second career, Don Cherry. Good planning, right?
Oh, yeah. Thank God it's here.
Okay, everybody knows about the 2 coaches we're watching in this series, Glenn Sonmore gregarious and Al Arbour professorial. But let's talk about how the personalities of these 2 men fit the respective teams.
Well, you know, they're perfect for their teams. Glenn, if he switched over the Islanders with all that yelling and hollering and everything, that, you know, it could turn them off very easily. If Al went over and played the way he plays, the silent professor and that, these guys wouldn't be up as much. So they're perfect, and they could switch if they wanted to, because Salmore, a long time ago, he was a silent guy. They're both perfect for their teams.
You have told us before about how you played for Glenn Sonmore. Let's go back in your past and talk about playing with Al Arbour.
Well, I played with Al a long time ago in the 60s, and I'll tell you, he'd give it every inch he had. He used to be a terrific block shots, used to get cut, he'd get up. He was a super guy. He was the same way, and you know, he never changed. He's the same guy, same as me. Never changed.
Same as you. Okay. A stock question, but you never give me stock answers, so I'll ask it. Do you coach differently in the Stanley Cup final?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. If you have an injury, you don't baby it. In the semifinals, during the season, you baby it. This is it. You go as long as you can. If you can't go, you get out. Take Goring. I just talking to Clark. He's got 5 stitches in his tongue and his chin. He's going to go the whole time. If you got an injury, in fact, the first thing they'd come to you and ask you if you can freeze it. And you got to watch that stuff.
Well, do you?
In Boston, we did. In the semifinals and the finals, probably get in trouble for saying it, but if the doctors felt that wouldn't hurt them, you had to freeze it, and away they went.
Okay, now you'll play an injured player more than you would, or you just simply play him where you wouldn't perhaps in another circumstance. What about the workload of a Bobby Smith, the double shifting? Now that started in the semifinals. It's going to continue in the finals, I guess, but you can't worry about tiring a player out in a short series?
He's got all summer to rest. You got to go, let him go, let him go. They got this far double shifting them. Make him go, because if you don't, you're going to throw the whole team off, and he's got to do it.
Okay, this is not a blowout, a 3-goal lead at the end of 2 periods, but after the first period, it looked as though it might be. If you're Arbour, do you say to Bossy, well, take a rest here, we're going to play somebody else, or Potvin, or do you go for the kill and try to pile up the score?
Well, you got to be very, very careful when you start resting guys like that. You can throw them off. You got to go. It's like Bobby Orr. He had to go no matter if the score was 8-0 or whatever it was. He had to go. You could throw them off, resting them like that. Bossy, guys like that, try to get them going.
Okay, thank you very much to Don Cherry. The third period about to begin. Let's go to Bob Cole.
Thank you, gentlemen. The New York Islanders come out here for the third period with a 4-1 lead over the Minnesota North Stars in this game 1 of a best-of-7 Stanley Cup final. The summary from the second period. Carroll is third at 9:58. Anderson is second at 13:04. And the shots, you see them. Islanders 10. 8 for Minnesota, 2 period totals. Islanders 20, Minnesota 16.
Well, game 2 will happen Thursday night. Minnesota here at Long Island. That'll be an 8 o'clock Eastern start.
Mickey, what about this third period now? Minnesota coming into the series all geared up, young, ready to go. Find themselves down 3 goals.
They're off right now, Bob. There's no question the 2 periods they have not had their skating legs, but you know, I don't think it's just, let's blame it on Minnesota. The Islanders have forced them to make some mistakes. They've jumped on them. I can't believe the legs the Islanders got after being off for a week, but they've forced a lot of the mistakes on the North Stars. So it's not how bad Minnesota's playing, it's how well the Islanders are going.
Now that's what Coach Al Arbour had said this morning at practice. We realize that the strength of the North Stars is their skating, and we have to do something about them. Don't give them that ice, that room out there to move around.
Adams stepped over the line. It comes back out to Payne. Now Maxwell shoots one in on the corner. Comes over near Billy Smith. Cleared into the corner again by McAdam. Back of the net on this side. Here comes Maxwell from the blue line. He knocked it back to the net. They can't seem to move it in front of the goal, though, as the Islanders are covering up. And now falling on it is Ken Morrow, and he gets the face-off.
Look at Ken Morrow, won the gold last year and the silver. Back for another try here with the Stanley Cup, but I look for the North Stars to really have a solid third period. No sense playing close to the vest. They have to take some chances. A good example there was Maxwell pinching in, keeping that puck in the zone.
They've got to throw it all out here, being down by 3. The Islanders, no matter how well they played in the first 2 periods, have to be very careful. They did not have a good last 10 minutes of the second period, and so far the North Stars are jumping on them here at the start of the third period.
Anderson is out there at center now with Payne and McAdam. Maxwell and Hartsburg, the 2 defensemen for Minnesota. That's Hartsburg. Takes a shot. Missed the net. Couple of feet. Islanders organized. Nystrom gets as far as center. Then he was stopped. Maxwell's pass is stopped. Again, Nystrom near the line. Steps it over. Pass went behind Tonelli. Merrick slapped at it. Merrick again near the blue line, tied his man up. Hot pass, slides it into the corner. Stanley is stopped. It bounced in front. Merrick with the shot. He scores! Merrick slopped it in. And there's that 4-goal bulge again.
I guess you could call that a lucky break, but good teams make their breaks. A funny bounce off the boards. But look at that forechecking. Where did the puck go? There it is. And Merrick on the backhand. An easy goal.
No question about it. Watch that puck right there. Came off the boards in a funny angle. That's 100% being in the right place at the right time, capitalizing on an unfortunate break for the North Stars, and Merrick buried it behind Malash, but that's the way it's gone for the North Stars tonight. Boy, everything's gone against them.
But they worked for it. You notice that strong forechecking in, making contact, making things happen out there.
Unassisted. The time of the goal was 58 seconds.
58 seconds, unassisted. Here come the Islanders again. Trottier, Bossy cruising in front. Just too far, out of his reach. Bossy gets it back to the line. Bourne didn't see this pass come through. 5-1 now. The New York Islanders, Bourne and Trottier go in looking for it. Potvin, the board's in front of Trottier. He's not flying. And the Minnesota North Stars in trouble, get it up to center ice. Coming in is McCarthy. McCarthy over on the boards, and he was bumped away by Potvin. Back for Bossy up to center. Coming in, Trottier with Bossy. Bossy gets it back in front, hit his stick. Bossy again. Rolled it over to Trottier, to Bossy. And he missed it. Spun around, tried to find it. Oh, my, can they patch it around. Trottier and Bossy. Wow. 5-1, New York. Barrett now for Minnesota. Tossed it up to the New York blue line. They're back in. Coming back is Smith. Back of the net. Pass to Kristoff in front of his own net. He's away to center. Down on the left side. Long shot in by Palmer. Off the boards. It's grabbed by Broughton. Left for Palmer. Broughton fighting with Gillies. A mismatch. Comes in front. Palmer got the shot and just wide. And a penalty coming up. Lane picks it up, and here's the penalty against New York. From Long Island, this is Stanley Cup 81.
Polaroid introduces the new Made for Each Other pack.
What's Made for Each Other?
This Time Zero One Step and Time Zero Super Color Film, the world's simplest camera and fastest developing color film. They are made for each other. And you see this color in seconds now, not minutes.
Look at that.
Well, that's why they put the film and camera together in this new Made for Each Other pack.
What if you want more film?
Oh, buy another camera.
You're kidding.
It was worth a try.
Oh.
There he is, Gordy Lane, cross-checking.
Now, formerly of the New Westminster Bruins, and he lets that stick and shows everything he means business. I guess that would be called clearing the front of the net.
Well, he laid the lumber on Palmer in front of Billy Smith, that's for sure.
Welcome to the league, eh?
So the Islanders, short-handed, shoot it down the ice.
Islanders are actually looking forward to this situation. They've done quite a job tonight while short-handed. We'll see what they do on this one.
Couple of goals, 2 or 3 more that were very close. Now Maxwell closing in, takes his shot. Rebound, Billy Smith, sensational. Got the arm up. They keep it inside the line. Hartsburg took a drop, he scored. It was tipped in front of the net. Billy Smith, Gary had just made 2 great saves, and now this one is tipped by him. It's 5-2.
Absolutely, Bob, and 2 times that the shot got through from the point. The first time by Maxwell, and then Hartsburg watched it jam up in front. Both Payne and McAdam, and you notice how much
like
time,
Payne, Gary, right there.
You know how much time Hartsburg had to unload that one, but he kept it low so that Payne had a chance to deflect it. Look at Smith, not much of a chance.
2 guys in front, right there. Payne gets through, fights through the defenseman, just redirects it. Smith, no chance at all in the goal. North Stars really didn't give the Islanders a chance at all to get out of their own zone in that power play.
3:08, the time of that goal for Minnesota. 5-2 now, the score. Islanders still on top with a 3-goal lead, and it's cleared into the Minnesota zone. Malash stopping it. Couldn't move it away, though. And back for Minnesota. Long pass on the left wing. Palmer trying to go in. Into the corner he goes. Coming up is Christoph to help him. But Goring takes over. Payne got the goal. Smith and Hartsburg. That's Bobby Smith, of course. 5-2 the score. New York. That's Palmer trying to move it out. Goring left it there. The line gets back in front of the net. Goring looking for it. Can't find it. And the long pass to Broughton at center in with Christoph. Christoph, and he's bumped away. Stays on his skates, though. Gillies comes back for New York. Tied him up, and they hold it on the boards. No further play. Tonight's Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Long Island.
People in distant lands have gone to great lengths to rent Ryder trucks because the legend of Ryder trucks has spread from country to country, and tales of their incredible reliability have been told and retold. No wonder people around the world go to such extremes to rent shiny, clean Ryder trucks. She's beautiful. So be grateful, Canada. You're the land of plenty of Ryder trucks.
From the face-off, Islanders get it across the line. That's Bourne coming in. Trottier over in front of the net. There's Trottier looking for it. Got it back in front of Bobby Smith. Swings from the corner. Coming out. He has Cicerelli going to the left side. Smith bringing it in. Still has control. Now he loses it. Right in front of the net, and Potvin cleared it out over the line. The power play goal by Steve Payne from Hartsburg and Bobby Smith came at 3:08 of this period. 5-2 the score, New York.
Well, that ties Steve Payne with Mike Bossy now. They lead in the playoffs with 13 goals, and Glenn Sonmore has changed. He has gone with Smith, Cicerelli, and McCarthy now against the Trottier line.
That's McCarthy, number 11, out on the left wing on that line. Smith at center, of course, Cicerelli to the right side. Bourne tapped the pass neatly along the center ice red line. Pushed in. Bossy and Trottier go in looking for it. In back of the net. Bourne couldn't come up with it. Long pass too far for Cicerelli. Again, Trottier played it in. This is Bossy stopping. Looks for Trottier. The pass just out of his reach. Now he has it off the board. Left it there. Gillies swinging in looking for it. Smith was knocked down. Trottier backhands it across the line. It comes right back to center. Bossy, he was pushed to the ice by Greg Smith of Minnesota. Morrow played it up over the line, and covering up is Milosh. Here's Barrett coming out. His pass to Cicerelli on the boards to center. Cicerelli hooked the high one in. Minnesota now changing as the play goes on. Here's Clark Gillies. It went by him. Maxwell at center for Minnesota. Dumped it in on the boards. To the right side, McEwen. Out for Sutter. He can't move it. A deflected shot in front, and Smith had to be quick on the short side. Now back for Goring. At center. This is Goring. Across the line. Sutter gets set in back of the net. He's forced back there by Anderson. Here's Gillies. Gillies left it there. Anderson can't find it. On the board. Sutter has it to Gillies. And Gillies couldn't get his shot away. Here the blue line, Langevin kept it in for New York. Sutter over there with Goring. Long shot from the blue line, nowhere near the net. McAdam left it there inside the line, and Maxwell comes to center. Maxwell for Minnesota. Goring is the first one back, and he'll take over for New York. During the 7-minute mark of the third period, 5-2, New York leading. That pass went by Broughton, he didn't see it. Now Palmer played it back and over the New York line. Broughton intercepted a clearing pass. Dumped it right in front of the net. Smith going down and covering up on the right side. He hangs onto it, and bodies go flying back to the net. This is Hockey Night in Canada from Long Island.
A town can die if it ain't got protection. Well, the folks around here wouldn't buy that. So I went ahead and bought my own Res Woodstain. Res protection lasts because Res grinds its colors so fine that it gets right into the wood and sticks there. Buy Res protection, I said, but they wouldn't listen. And where are they now?
Bob Cole, Gary Dornhofer, and Mickey Redmond. Long Island, New York, first game of the finals for the Stanley Cup, and the Islanders lead it 5-2. Nice to have you with us from coast to coast in Canada. You viewers here in the United States joining us on the USA Network.
You know, the Islanders, they have been forced a little bit by the North Stars in this period, and they have given the puck away on a few occasions.
Listen, best period so far for Minnesota.
Minnesota seems to be getting stronger as the game goes on.
That's Giles coming out, getting to his line. The left wing pass is neat. Goes down to Palmer. Palmer trying to push it into the corner. Nystrom is back there. Islanders keep coming back. And it's Nystrom hitting the line to center. Can't get away from his check, so he slashed it into the zone. Back to the net is Roberts. Roberts trying to play it out. Here they come. Broughton comes to center. Kristoff on this wing. Offside. And it's called back.
Well, Kristoff's played a strong game for the North Stars tonight. He stayed on his wing all night long. He showed some bursts of speed. Gary had a couple of good scoring opportunities.
Well, early in the first period there, he made a good move on the defenseman and had a good scoring opportunity, but Billy Smith made the good save. There we look again at Dino Ciccarelli, and what a story he's been in Minnesota. Buttons, sweaters, posters, shirts, dinosaurs, what have you.
What do they call him? Dino Mike.
Hey, that's good. I like that.
Ciccarelli dropped it back. Didn't get the return pass, and now Bourne comes in for New York. Bourne breaks around one man. Barrett into the corner. Bourne back of the net. Left it for Bossy. He falls over two sticks. Coming out is Ciccarelli and Bobby Smith. This is Smith lugging it in. Gets across the line. He looks dangerous now. Smith back of the net. Takes a look back to the blue line to Barrett. He takes his shot nowhere near the net. Bourne will hook it out of the zone. Coming right back in, Fred Barrett dumped it into the corner. Morrow slapped at it. It's high on the glass, bounces down in front. But Trache was there for New York. Here's Potvin leading this attack for the Islanders. Up to center ice is Dennis Potvin. Trying to go through the defense and knocked down at the blue line by Barrett. Greg Smith feeds it over along the boards. Gillies went flying but kept it in. Bobby Smith around the net for Minnesota to Barrett. Coming out with McAdam on his right. Payne to the left side. He was bumped by Lane as he hit the New York blue line. Lorimer whipped around the net. It stopped at the blue line by Anderson, who kept it in. Anderson looks for it again. Minnesota had to come back. During the 9-minute mark of the third period, it's 5-2. The New York Islanders in front. Goring forechecking on Maxwell. Anderson on the boards. Now the Stars to center. McAdam was looking for the pass. It never did come. Maxwell turns on his own line. Coming out with Hartsburg up to Anderson. They'll have to try it again. You notice the Islanders all back, lining up, waiting for it.
Well, they're not going to make any mistakes now as far as allowing a 3-on-2 or a 2-on-1 against them.
Hartsburg tries it again. Leads this attack. Got by Goring. Play goes in on the left side to Payne, who put the shot right on, and Smith stopped it. Hartsburg took a shot. That was high. Nowhere near the net. Sutter will clear it for New York. Gillies on the left wing. Sutter is coming in. Take the shot. Look through. Sutter couldn't control it then for a drive. Roberts caught up to him, and they hold it for a face-off. With a score, New York Islanders 5, North Stars 2. This is Stanley Cup 81.
On this Canadian destroyer, about 250 men work as a team with some of the most advanced electronic equipment in the world, helping to keep Canada strong. If you've got what it takes, there may be a future for you in Maritime Command, full-time or part-time.
There's no life like it. There's no life like it. No, there's no life like it.
Ask us about you. You'll find us under Recruiting in the Yellow Pages.
Billy Carroll, Tonelli, and Keller now up front for New York. 10:19 left in regulation time. It's the Islanders 5 and the North Stars 2. Tonelli into the corner for New York. Carroll him. Minnesota, Giles back to the net. Left it with Roberts. The pass up on the left side, and here comes Minnesota. Up to center. Flipped it over the line, but Carroll was back. Long pass went just wide of Heller. Lash stopped it. 9:45 remaining. Minnesota trying to get it going again as Kristoff comes out. Up across the line, he stopped, left it for Palmer. Palmer centered it. Broughton was in front of the net, didn't get the pass though. Broughton going in after Carroll. New York Islanders back at the net, regrouping. That's McEwen on the boards to center ice. Minnesota with Roberts and Barrett. Barrett played it ahead. It's poked up across the line by Broughton. And again, Carroll, number 25, back for New York. Nearly lost it right in front of the net. To McCarthy. Islanders coming back. McEwen shoots one to center ice. Now they get going, but it's stopped right there, just across the line. Ciccarelli on the side. He was bumped by Langevin. Ciccarelli staying with it. Now Bourne and Trottier get going. Trottier up over the line. He was knocked to his knees, but here's Bossy. Bossy stops in the corner. He was knocked down. In comes Bob Bourne, and he was pushed up along the boards. They try to hold it. Bourne still looking for it. Gets it loose. Bob Bourne back for Potvin. Takes a shot. Just missed the net. Glanced off the outside of the post and up along the boards. 8:25 left in regulation time. It's 5-2 New York Islanders here in game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. Islanders Trottier. No room to go down that side. Schmidt made sure of that. Now this is Maxwell coming up to his own line, hitting center, shooting from there, and it's wide of the net. Morrow takes over for New York. Coming back, the team's changing as the play goes on. Goring stopped near center ice by Anderson. It's tipped into the zone by McAdam. McAdam after it. And after him is Morrow. Minnesota's still looking for it though. Potvin breaking it up and skating away for New York. Lost control of it as he hit the line. Minnesota back. High over the glass into the crowd. Hockey Night in Canada will continue in a moment.
In the beginning, man created Thunderbird. And in 1981, the Thunder lives on. The classic lines are cleaner, crisper, more contemporary. The interior's more inviting and informative. See the electric. Sense the excitement. Feel the thunder of Thunderbird in 1981.
There it is, the Islanders with a 3-goal lead at time running out. 7:38 remaining in regulation time.
Well, it's important that North Stars keep thumping. Do not make it easy for the Islanders. Don't give them an easy win, which it looks like the Islanders may accomplish tonight as far as winning is concerned.
McAdam over on the boards. Hit the side of the net with Smith trying to get back in. He had left the net. In front it comes. Anderson fanned on an attempted backhander. Gillies has to hustle it out of the zone down on the boards on the left side. Maxwell now for Hartsburg, who tipped it up across center. And it's called. You think maybe, Mickey, the Islanders are now deciding it's time to lay back a bit?
They have been laying back, and as you see the result, the North Stars are carrying the play. I think they're making a mistake by doing that because they're allowing the North Stars to gain some confidence. Even if the game should stay out of reach, which it is right now by 3 goals, they're not going to be out of this series. And if they can, they scored a couple of goals, get a little bit of confidence and say, hey, these guys aren't, the Giants. We can't get something on them, score some goals, knock them down. You've seen a lot of white sweaters on the ice here in the last 5-6 minutes. And that could show in game 2, as I say, if the game does stay the way it is.
Roberts passed it across center to Broughton. Islanders, though, swinging from center is Merrick with Nystrom. Missed the pass. Nystrom after Roberts. Up along the boards to the left of Gilles Melange. Tonelli goes in to help. It's Tonelli digging it out. Getting it back. Langevin shooting. Scores! Aaron, I think it was tipped in front of the net, but Langevin had a great shot.
Merrick picked that one.
Merrick tipped it from the line.
But this line, they've been doing it all night. Strong forechecking. The likes of Tonelli and Nystrom
Nystrom. If it's not for these two guys, that goal would never have happened. And then Merrick has the stick, as you had said, on the ice. Just a lot of hard work in that shift.
No chance for Malash at all. When the goaltender gets set for that shot from the point, he sets himself, gets ready for it. If it's deflected, he really can't got time to move on it.
The assist to number 26, Dave.
That's Palmer centering one for Minnesota. But Tonelli comes right back. Tonelli for New York. Across the line, trying to set up center, but the pass was blocked. Roberts has it, goes into the corner. Tonelli chased him. Kristoff goes back to the net. Tonelli after him. There's some forechecking, paying off again for New York. It comes back in front to Carroll. He gets a shot. Another shot. One up over the crossbar. Carroll coming close. There's McEwen stopping it. Minnesota having some difficulty moving it out. But now Kristoff up to the New York line, spun around and knocked flying at the defense. 5:50 left in regulation time. 6-2, New York. Kristoff shoots it in. Lodge have been back at the net for the Islanders. Starting out, his pass just got by McCarthy. Crozier going in with Bourne on the boards. That's Bourne coming out front. Malash tipped it away from the goal crease. Back for Cicerelli down the left side. Bobby Smith dumped it in front. McCarthy. He was covered by Potvin. That's Cicerelli centering it. And Potvin was right there again. There he is to center ice. Got his Potvin across the line, dropped it neatly. Tossed his backhander. Goes flying over the glass into the crowd. Live from Long Island, the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Are they prescription?
What? Oh, no, these are Foster grants.
They flatter you.
Thanks.
May I?
It isn't quality alone that's made Foster Grant the biggest name in sunglasses. There's something about just wearing them that makes the world come on a little stronger.
What about my sunglasses?
I'll be staying at the Savoy.
Bob Cole, Gary Dornhofer, and Mickey Redmond. Gary, 5:11 left in regulation time. 4-goal spread. That it?
Well, that'll certainly do it, but the North Stars, they're not going to quit. They're going to keep working, see what they can do. And here's a good time to experiment and get ready for game number 2. Try a different approach, maybe flood the zone, but anything to see if they can do something that'll work against this hockey club.
They got to leave this game on a positive note.
Absolutely.
Right now, it's quite negative. There's a positive note. Right around the net, they hit the post and knock it in. 6-3. It's never over. Well, you know the rest of that one till it's over.
Well, Glenn Sommer, I'm sure, going in the third period, he said, let's try and win a period here. But there is a miscue.
Cicerelli.
By Morrow, and then Cicerelli picks the puck up, the loose puck, and fires it home. And you know, the goaltender, Billy Smith, he's not expecting a giveaway right behind his net, but that's what happened, and Cicerelli took advantage of it. And Cicerelli keeps improving on that rookie goal-scoring record.
15-14. The time of that goal by Cicerelli.
That's number 12.
For number 20, Dino Cicerelli.
Not bad.
The assist to number 11.
This will be icing Minnesota back.
Time of the goal,
4:30 remaining in regulation time. 6-3 New York. This Stanley Cup playoff game is coming to you from Long Island.
You know Philishave is the shaver that's a cut above the rest. Now we're also the shaver that shaves a cut below the rest. That's because of our new lift and cut system. Every one of Philishave's 45 rotary action blades now has a lifter that gently lifts the hair while the cutter shaves it closer. The new Philishave with the lift and cut system. Now you don't have to get wet to get close.
Bob Cole, Gary Dornhofer, Mickey Redmond, 4:30 left in regulation time in this one. Latest goal, Cicerelli from McCarthy, 15-14. Islanders 6, North Stars 3. Nystrom comes down the right side. Merrick waits for him at the line. Couldn't stay on side. Nearly did, but did not.
Thursday night, the teams will resume action here at the Nassau Coliseum, and that will be an 8 o'clock Eastern start. Well, both teams have scored 2 goals in this third period, and I'm sure the North Stars would like to win that one period and then get ready for the next game. Tomorrow will be an off day. Both teams have an opportunity to go over certain things and make the adjustments necessary.
Maxwell shoots one in from center. Maine looking for it for Minnesota, so is Nystrom for New York. Guess who? Nystrom knocked it off to Tonelli. Down the ice it goes. Hartsburg left it right there. That's Maxwell back to the net. Tonelli, number 27 in there for New York. The play comes across the line. Down the left side is Payne with McAdam and Anderson. And the pass comes back outside the blue line. Minnesota has to come back. Hartsburg laid it high off the boards in back of the net with 3:35 remaining in the third period. Tonelli in the center ice area. Down to Nystrom. Tonelli waits for Nystrom to get onside. It's shot in wide of the net by Carroll. Malash is covered up. Astor Kristoff hitting the line for Minnesota. He couldn't move away from Carroll. Carroll all over the place. Shoots it back in. And now 3:10 remaining. Islanders 6, North Stars 3 in this game 1 here in New York. Down the left wing goes Palmer. Tried to cut in front of the net, got the pass out there, but it's tipped away by Langevin. And New York. Gillies didn't see it at first. Now he's in looking for it against Giles. Giles bumped by Big Gillies. Gillies still fighting for it. Now it's called as they hold it on the boards.
Kind of a mismatch there, isn't it? Gillies and Broughton.
Yeah, no question about it. Broughton got his elbow up into Gillies' face. Gillies, a rough 215-pounder, 6'3". He said, "What are you doing over here?" He said, "Come on." The game's over. There's a little guy there. He said, "You better leave me alone."
Reminds me of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Just 2:42 remaining in this third period. The Islanders, they started in a hurry. There was a question, fellows, as to whether they'd be a little stale with a long layoff. Well, that question was dispelled very early.
That was answered in a hurry, but I still think it's that line of Tonelli, Nystrom, and Merrick that have made things happen tonight, just like they have just about in every game of the series. They're supposed to be a checking line, but tonight it was a bonus. They figured into scoring quite prominently.
Here's Gillies shooting one. Blocked in front, Bossy looking for it. If anybody can find a hole in a goaltender's armor, you know who that is. Bossy, always dangerous. He was in back of the goal that time, nearly picked it off and hooked it in.
Well, I tell you, watch Bossy and Trottier out there all night long. Bob, you mentioned it earlier, the pretty passing that they do. They played together so long now, they know where each other's going to be without really looking. And sometimes they look like geniuses, like they've got eyes in the back of their heads. But boy, you watch them out there, it's just amazing the way they seem to know where to go and where to throw the puck for each other.
Here's Dennis Potvin waiting for it to lie down. Couldn't wait. Then didn't get a good shot away and missed the net. 2:25 left in the third period. Cicerelli passes it back inside his own line. Cleared out by Barrett. Comes right back in again thanks to Bossy's work. That's Bossy on the boards. Trottier just missed the pass. Back of the net, Barrett. Gillies trying to feed it back to the blue line. Here's Potvin sliding it through. And Melange kicked it away. 2 minutes remaining. Bossy centered it. Broken up by Cicerelli. Penalty coming up to New York. Cicerelli brings it in for Minnesota. Trying to go around Morrow. He was stopped. And here's the penalty against Trottier. With 1:51 left.
And like you were saying, Mickey, this is not the same Minnesota North Stars hockey club that we saw in the semifinals. And I'm sure going into the next game, you're going to see a vast improvement.
Well, they got to get their feet back on the ground. They say, you know, coming in here against the defending Stanley Cup champions, they've really played very well to get here so far. Here's a look at the penalty. Boy, 2 of them went down heavily. It was Giles and Trottier deep in the Minnesota zone, but now the Minnesota team has had a game against the Islanders. They realize how devastating they can be. They're going to have to change their game. Basically, they got to get the feet going and make those skates do the work for them.
A lot of times we've seen the wingers just stop still at the blue line, and then the puck is shot in. Winger has no chance of doing any kind of forechecking when that happens.
So 1 minute and 43 seconds remaining in regulation time, and the Islanders have this one wrapped up, leading 6-3. Minute and a half left now as it's intercepted by Goring. Oh, that Goring never quits, never stops. Look at the blood around his sweater. He was cut rather badly earlier on in the game, received 6 or 7 stitches in the lower lip.
Look at the forechecker. You didn't really see it there. The puck had already been deflected through by Billy Carroll, but boy, anytime you see a good Islander scoring chance right now, you say, boy, they must be short-handed.
But he's always in motion, never standing still, Butch Goring.
There's Goring again looking for it at center. Doesn't find it this time with Payne coming in for Minnesota. And there he is, Butch Goring bringing it out of the zone. Kills a few seconds there. He'll turn back with it now. Gives it a puck pass. Minute 5 left in the third period. Pass comes out to the line, knocked down. Goring
Last minute of play
couldn't take it away from Payne. Now less than a minute remaining. Maxwell from center. Shooting one off the boards, and Bourne, number 14, back for New York. Bobby Smith stopped it, left it there. There's a shot by Hartsburg, kicked away by Smith. On the boards, in the corner and back of the net. Payne trying to center it. McAdam was waiting right there. There's Payne again. Takes a look, back to Maxwell. He tries a shot. That was deflected wide. Potvin falling. It comes loose right in front of the net. Maxwell again closing in, shooting. Smith knocked it down and cleared it. Bourne fed it down the ice. 20 seconds left. And Melange has to come out of the net. 15 seconds left. 6-3 New York. Islanders taking a 1-game lead in this best-of-7 series. There's Kristoff going in. Played it over in front of the net with 4 seconds left. You can hear the countdown. It's over. That's all she wrote, folks, in Game 1 of the 1981 Stanley Cup Final. Islanders 6, the Stars 3, and they were full value, gentlemen, for their victory.
I'll tell you, we saw a good example of a well-oiled hockey club here tonight. The Islanders, outside of a few moments in the second period when they were up 4-1, they laid back a little bit and let Minnesota take the play to them. Also at the start of the third period, the Islanders played a super hockey game in all facets and all over the ice.
I agree. A good forechecking resulted in a lot of good scoring chances.
So it's Islanders 6, the North Stars 3. This is Stanley Cup 81 from Long Island.
Well, looky here. If it ain't the competition.
I've had it up to here with all this tongue wagging about the top guns at Midas. Here, String Bean, I've heard how fast you are. Now let's see how good you are.
Satisfied?
All right, so you're good.
So's the guarantee.
But I'm warning you, Jesse, I'm going to tell every fast gun in this town where to find you.
Wish you would. It's kind of lonely at the top.
Up until now, there's only been the two of you, and you pretty much take care of one another. But now, there's a new person in your lives, a new responsibility. We have the protective instinct, too, about life and security and the future. And that's what life insurance is all about.
Life is a mutual affair.
Talk it over with your Mutual Life of Canada agent.
Information. Business is besieged by it. All kinds of equipment have been required to manage it. Until now. Now, with Wang's new integrated information system, one person very simply can perform data processing, word processing, high-speed image printing, and worldwide communication. If Wang can create all this today, who knows what the future holds? Wang, making the world more productive.
Now, from Eveready, the Energizer.
We took the Energizer test. Amazing. We put premium Energizers in my calculator and regular carbon batteries in the other. And then we started stock taking. The Energizers lasted 6 times longer than our regular batteries.
The Energizer, for life. Now, win energy for life. Over 1,000 other prizes. Get full details wherever you buy Energizers.
The Islanders double the score on the North Stars and win this opening game of the 1981 Stanley Cup Final before a pleased crowd here at the Nassau Coliseum. Score 6-3, and here is the first star of the game, Butch Goring. It'll be said this was an easy victory for the Islanders, but there's a cut with several stitches in it on the lower lip of Butch Goring to say this wasn't all fun for him. Don Cherry noticed it, and I'm not sure too many other people did. Skate came up and hit you. Tell us what you remember about it.
Well, I think at the time I was killing a penalty, and the puck was along the boards over by the penalty side of the rink, and I think it was Dino Cicerelli, and I was just checking him, and the puck was in his feet, and I think I tripped him, and I guess that's what you get, and a skate came up and clipped me pretty good in the chin and the mouth and numerous other places, I think.
Don gave a lot of praise because you finished the shift, and you tell us that's not only because, but partly because you didn't realize how bad it was.
No, I didn't know that was really cut that much. I just thought that you know, my mouth was cut a little bit, and you know, nothing major, and I didn't feel too much, so I just kept on playing, and but after I took a look in the mirror, you know, it was a pretty good cut.
All right, let's talk about this game. Was it easy in terms of what the North Stars did, what you wanted to do, and obviously did do?
Well, it was in a way, and in a way it wasn't. We were fortunate. We got a 5-minute major there for Spearing early in the game, and we turned around and got two shorthanded goals. So that really turned the game in our favor, and I think it really took a lot of the wind out of the North Stars' sails.
You want to apply pressure while killing a penalty. Obviously, when you score as many shorthanded goals as you have, that's part of the plan. And I wonder whether it upsets the opponent's power plays.
Well, I think it does, because not only are they worried about having to score a goal, they're worried about, you know, getting one scored on them. And certainly, you know, the power play is supposed to be a chance for you, but the way we kill them, it makes us very, very, very dangerous. And you know, we don't gamble a lot. We just play hard, and we just work for whatever we get. But certainly, Minnesota's going to respect our penalty killing.
I want to go back into the regular season at a time when things weren't going well for the Islanders. That doesn't really seem as though it ever happened this season, but it did, and it wasn't a particularly good time for you. There were some people coming up from the minors, and there was talk of a major shakeup here. As you look back, did the Islanders sort of have to go through something like that to really get going on a streak that really hasn't stopped yet?
Well, I think, you know, that the season gets very, very long, and I mean, you know, the Islanders are as human, contrary to some people's belief, and we just got into a bit of a lull. You know, we were sitting along in first place, cruising pretty nice, really only having a battle with St. Louis there for quite a period of time, and a lot of us, I guess, thought we were playing well, and really we weren't, and we were just kind of cruising along, and you know, we were still winning games because some of the other guys in the team were carrying us. So perhaps bringing in some of the people up from the minors and sitting a couple of people out definitely helped the team, because, like I said, sometimes you think you're playing well, but it takes usually management to shake things out of you.
How is this trip to the final different for you than last year, when, of course, you just joined the team at the trading deadline?
Well, I think that this year so far has been more gratifying for me, because I came here, you know, late in the year, and I didn't really get to, you know, learn the guys' personalities or hardly know anybody. I just came in here, and it was kind of like a fly-by-night thing, and things kept rolling and went by really very fast. So I couldn't really, you know, I didn't really get into it as much as I hoped I would have. But this year, I've suffered with their ups, and I've, you know, been with their downs and everything, and you know, I've lived here all year, so I've got to feel, you know, more at home and more like an Islander. So this year, I'm hoping we're going to win it again, and I know I'm going to be a lot more happy.
Everybody who covered the Rangers series said you really got into that one.
Yeah, you know, there's such a great rivalry here, and you know, it's mostly the fans' rivalry. I think it's the people who work in New York and the people who work in Long Island. They want to beat each other so badly. But no, I felt good about the Rangers series, and you know, I wasn't worried about playing the Gardens. Like I said before, I've always done well in the Ranger Gardens, so I was excited about playing there, and you know, we did real well.
How about the week off? Do you think you used it beneficially, in that it helped you tonight with the North Stars having played 2 more games in the semifinals?
Yeah, I really think it did help us. We had a few hurts. You know, a couple of our gunners were hurting pretty bad, and then in the 2 or 3 days off that they really needed, got them healed. And you know, guys like Brian Trotzer, he was hurting a little bit. He's been playing tremendous, and if he's not healthy, you know, it hurts our club. So the injuries are all healed now, and everybody's feeling good. And you know, we came out in the first period ready to play hockey, so you know, I have to say the rest of it is a world of good.
I think a lot of people will say that the Islanders are ready to play right off the bat. Number 1 star of the game, Butch Goring. Star number 2, Anders Keller, who had 2 goals, and star number 3, Bobby Nystrom, who continue to exemplify the Islanders' strong hitting. Butch, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Now let's go upstairs and hear more comment on this game and what we might look forward to in game number 2.
Well, there's no question that it was a learning experience tonight for the Minnesota North Stars with all those rookies in the lineup, but You think that one game is a learning experience for them to improve for game number 2?
There's no question about it, Gary. I think that we mentioned before that they hadn't been here before. The playoffs up to now are a different ballgame. You know, in the finals, it's really, you've got your opportunity to be here, and that puts that much more pressure on you because, you know, you got to win it. I mean, this is it. You got to win the other series too, but when you got this far, you think, my goodness, you know, we've got a shot at the champions, and we could be the champions ourselves. But there's no question that each game they play, and they definitely learned something tonight. Goring mentioned it. They're going to be looking for that Islander penalty killing as well as their power play, but they will learn something definitely. At least I know Sonmore and Louis Nanny hope they learn a lot coming back into game 2.
Well, Mickey, when you mentioned Glenn Sonmore, in game number 6, he had a very inspirational meeting, and he pointed out about players or coaches, for instance, Murray Oliver, J.P. Parisi, that were in the organization along with himself that have never been in a Stanley Cup final, and said, you guys have it in your grasp. And he had the players just eating out of his hand, and they went out there and they defeated Calgary. So here they are in the finals, and I'm sure that Sonmore will have some words of wisdom and encouragement for his hockey club.
Well, you know, Wayne Gretzky mentioned to me in the series, like against Montreal earlier, he said our team is too young to realize maybe how much trouble we're in, but they went out and beat the Canadians, and they give the Islanders a good battle too. But, you know, there's two schools of thought here with the youngsters. Number one, you talk about Sonmore saying you've got it here. That could put pressure on the youngsters, saying, jeepers, we've got very few veterans on the hockey club. And on the other hand, maybe they're so young, they don't realize what the heck they're into here up against the Islanders. They'll know after game 1, and, you know, thinking, hey, come on, let's get it going. Let's not get beat 4 straight here. Let's get out and do something, and we've got a chance. It's within our grasp. Let's do the best we can. We played a bad hockey game tonight, and they did. There's no question about it. They got to get the legs going and come out and skate with these Islanders.
Well, it was only a 1-0 score for the Islanders and a 5-minute major to Bobby Bourne. It looked like perhaps a chance for the North Stars, but this wasn't the case in that shorthanded goal. You're going to see the first one, and what a play that Carroll makes on this one.
Well, Billy Carroll, of course, played a strong hockey game. Could have been a star also. There could have been a lot of stars in the Islanders. Super pass out to Trottier, who was breaking into the slot area, and Joe Malash had no chance at all. But Carroll did the job. He outskated the Minnesota defender, made the fake on the pass, and then slid it right across the open net.
Well, Trottier, he came in all the way from the blue line, and nobody picked him up. And then another shorthanded goal. And again, this time, Trottier sets up Keller.
Well, Trottier, again, we mentioned how strong he is for a little guy. He's 195 pounds, but only about 5'10". But he's hard to knock off his feet. And the 2 Minnesota guys behind the net, Trottier comes out with the puck by himself, throws it in front, and bang, 2 shorthanded goals and 1 penalty.
Yeah, Mickey, you can't skate. Both Roberts and Broughton skated past Trottier. You can't do that. All right, what adjustments do the North Stars have to make?
I think the number one thing they've got to do is Sonmore's got to get them relaxed. Again, this one game here, the experience of having played in the finals now, and they know what the Islanders can do. They heard about the Islanders. They know they're a super hockey club. Now they've really experienced it, and they've saw the licking they got put on them by the Islanders. And they say, hey, let's get out here, relax, get the feet going. They did not skate well tonight.
They were standing still.
You could notice that even their defensemen were bringing the puck up. They looked very slow. It's like you mentioned, it's not the same team that we saw in the playoffs before, and it wasn't. But I think the Minnesota North Stars will be back. They get those young legs going, and then we're going to see quite a battle up and down, because the Islanders are quite a skating club themselves. But the North Stars' main thing is they've just got to relax, get out here and play. If they're going to lose, they might as well have some fun doing it and get out here and get the legs moving.
That's easier said than done, but time and time again, we saw the North Stars standing still at the blue line. You're not going to beat anybody standing still, and you're not going to be able to do an effective job forechecking. If they can improve in that area, you know, they can get back in this series.
Well, you know, Gary, I think also they've got to start dumping the puck in, too. Louis Nanny this morning, we mentioned, said he wants his club to carry the puck, but the Islanders did a great job of standing up defensively and forcing the North Stars to make mistakes and a lot of offsides. But anyway, if they dump it in and chase him, they might have more success.
Okay, thanks, Mickey. And now let's go back down to Dave Hodge.
In just a moment, we'll have some post-game comments from the North Stars general manager, Lou Nanny, and he can talk about the strategy when the North Stars hit the Islanders' blue line, whether, in fact, it might change for Game 2. We'll return with Stanley Cup 81 Lou Nanny and Don Cherry in just a moment.
My favorite designer label shirts, but I'd like some with the patent mark collar.
Only Arrow has the patented mark collar.
Only Arrow? Hey, wait a minute. These styles are really great.
Only Arrow has the revolutionary patented mark collar. Shaped not like a tube, but like a cone to fit the contours of your neck for comfort like never before. And a fresh, crisp look with the neckband out of sight. Excuse me, didn't you want some of those too?
No. Only Arrow.
It's a good feeling when you get your loan from a bank you can count on.
You know, buying a camper has made this the best holiday we've ever had. But we'd never have done it without that Commerce loan. Hey guys, come and get it.
Count on the Commerce.
This new ski lodge will be open next winter, thanks to the people at the Commerce. They set up a great business loan plan for me.
Count on the Commerce.
Took a big loan to buy this tractor, but my Commerce manager was right there. But the deal had made sense.
Count on the Commerce.
I could have bought a new car, but I always dreamed of owning one of these. A loan from our bank helped me get it.
Count on the Commerce for the loan you need at more branches than any other bank in Canada.
You can count on the Commerce.
You don't have to be a genius to change your own oil and filter and save yourself up to $10. Valvoline Motor Oil shows you exactly how quick and easy it is with step-by-step change instructions on the back of Valvoline cans. It's really quite simple once you get the hang of it. Just see for yourself, then do for yourself. No wonder more and more drivers are changing to Valvoline. It's a smart way to save up to 10 bananas without a lot of monkeying around. Right, Val?
That's the story of Game 1 as the Islanders jumped to a 3-0 first period lead with a pair of shorthanded goals and went on to win by a score of 6-3. With us following the game, Lou Nanny, the general manager of the North Stars, and Don Cherry. Lou, the fellas upstairs, Mickey and Gary, are saying that contrary to your preference, the North Stars might have to start shooting the puck in when they hit the blue line because the Islander defensemen did such a good job of breaking up the plays.
Well, David, you're right about that, but first we got to get to their blue line. We had a lot of trouble coming out of our own zone, moving the puck well. I think our biggest fault tonight was not using our biggest asset, and that's skating. When you stand around and the Islanders check, they check very well. They have the best 3 checking centermen in the National League, and they can cause you a lot of problems in your own zone if you're standing around, especially with their quickness. And that's where we really had to make some adjustments. We made some in the third period, but in all, you know that the Islanders had it. They probably relaxed somewhat and let us come out. But there were some things we did differently in the third that we're going to have to do all the way through the next game and before we even get to the blue line, and then put a little pressure on their defense, which we didn't do any of tonight.
Don, tell us what you think happened on the Minnesota power play, the 5-minute penalty, which resulted in 2 Islander goals.
I've noticed, Lou, when you get those 5-minute penalty, it throws you off a little. You know, you think you got a lot of time. You know, the other way, you got 2 minutes. You got to hurry everything up. Well, you got 5. Now, let's see, we're going to get 3 goals in this. And you take your time, and it throws you off a little bit. And I've seen that happen a lot.
Well, they almost got 3 goals.
Yeah,
we got 2. Actually, you're right. We had a lot of problem though all night long. What they were doing is they'd send one guy right at the blue line, and he'd stand there, and Goring would be deep, and they'd force the play to the outside. And then what they were trying to do all the time was have Bobby Smith or a centerman cut back in the middle, and that second forechecker would take it away. We've got to start moving the puck quicker. We can't let the centerman go deep like that and come out of the zone. We might as well just move it up the ice quicker so that we break up their aggressive forecheck.
Yeah, put a guy at the red line, eh?
We could put him at the red line because that's going to pull our defenseman back. Or what we could do is just keep the centerman up and let our both defensemen work it out because our defensemen can handle it. But tonight we just constantly had 3 men deep, and they just forced the play around the net to the boards, and then our centerman had to cut back in the middle, and they just met him there all night long. And we really never had any 3 men coming up, even 3-on-3, let alone 3-on-2 on the power play.
You know the thing I noticed too, if you don't mind me saying, I watched that Calgary series. You guys were aggressive, taking the body. Every time you come to somebody, you nail somebody. I was really surprised. And tonight, and it's easy for me to say, here you come in the island and everything. Tonight, you were not taking the body except on that one shift where they got that 1 goal on. And if you don't mind me saying, I think you got to get back to that run on them again.
Well, Don, no, we've done it. It shouldn't have surprised in the Calgary series. We've done it all the way through the playoffs. If we'd have played tonight the way we played tonight against Calgary and Buffalo, we'd have lost either of those series, right, or even Boston. The thing was, tonight we didn't take anybody out. Right. You're right. We never made any contact. We never stopped their flow at all. We really didn't skate. It's just like, for some reason, we came in saying, we're not going to do anything tonight. I have to say that that's the worst we can play. I hope it's the worst we can play.
You got to figure it this way. You played rotten today. Get ready. Get them tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Louis, you come into the series, the master of psychology that you are, saying that you were David and they were Goliath, and you didn't even have a slingshot this time. Now, that's the public stance. The North Stars just happy to be here. Tell us privately how confident you were before.
Well, actually, David, we are very happy to be here. But I have to say that the series is not over. We still expect to win it. You don't go to the movies and not watch a picture unless you want to waste money. And we came here not just to be satisfied being here. We're happy to be here now. Now that we're here, we expect to win. I really only expected to win one of the 2 games in here. And honestly, I thought we might have a better chance in the second game because even in our series, when we rested, Calgary came to us, we were up. They had just come through a grueling series, and maybe we got the jump on them, maybe they got the jump on us. I know one thing, they didn't have to do much to beat us tonight, although they're an excellent hockey team. We did not, in any phase of the game, really test them.
You know, Lou, one time we beat out Philly, and we were really happy to get there, and it was our first time in the finals. And New York, a couple of years ago, did the same thing. They played terrific all the way to the playoffs. Then right down deep, they said, we're happy to be here. I know you weren't and everything, but the players, somehow or other, they relax, you know, and they say to themselves, well, we're just happy to be here. We're in the finals. Beating out the other teams was our Stanley Cup, and I think that's what you have to watch, because I saw it happen to our team.
Well, I think there had
Rangers.
to be some jitters, and you're young people.
Exactly.
You can't deny that.
I think that there's no doubt about it. In the first period was the first time our team was tense in the playoffs. We were not tentative at all in any game all the way through the way we were tonight. You could tell it in one phase of the game. Our passing was absolutely atrocious. We couldn't make a 3-foot pass, let alone a 30-foot pass. And our team is a team that moves the puck extremely well, moves it quickly, and skates. And we didn't skate, we didn't move the puck, and we sure as heck didn't get out of our zone quickly. We put no pressure on the defense.
Quick prognosis for Tim Young. When will we see him in this series?
I just talked to the doctor. We're hopeful that we'll see him Sunday. He's working on it. He did have a worse tear than we thought, so he won't be back Thursday like we were at first hopeful. But we do expect to have him back Sunday. We're keeping our fingers crossed. It's not definite, but it looks like there's a possibility.
Well, that's an important factor in this series, and our Stars go into this game with Bobby Smith, the only center they had all season long. Neil Broughton came up late in the season. Tommy McCarthy, left winger, had to play center tonight. So Young is an important addition if the North Stars can make it. Our thanks to Lou Nanne, to Don Cherry, to everybody who contributed to tonight's telecast. And we'll remind you again that game number 2 from the same Nassau Coliseum will come along on Thursday night. The starting time remains the same at 8 p.m. Again tonight, that's Eastern time, of course. The Islanders 3-0 in the first period, and that was really the story. Strangely, the game turning on 2 shorthanded goals while the Islanders were killing a major penalty. 6-3 New York over Minnesota. Dave Hodge bidding you good night for Hockey Night in Canada. CBC, Hockey Night in Canada, brought to you by Molson, Brewers of Molson Export. It keeps on tasting great. Canadian General Electric, progress for people since 1882. Canadian Tire Dealers with 326 stores to serve you across Canada. And by the Ford Motor Company of Canada, on behalf of your Ford and Mercury dealers from coast to coast. This program is protected by copyright and is intended solely for the entertainment and enjoyment of the viewing audience. Reproduction by any means, in whole or in part, without the express written permission of Hockey Night in Canada, is prohibited.
The proceeding has been a special presentation of ICENET, the Islanders Championship Entertainment Network.